Hello, everyone, and welcome to Geek Chat Assembled. So this is the most ambitious live stream I've done yet, because there's obviously not just me and one other guest. There's 5 of us all together. But if you're the eagle-eyed and the ones who've been watching a lot will realise that it's all the people that have been on so far. So before we get stuck into it, I'll just kind of go around the panel and let everyone introduce themselves. So start off with yourself, Badger. You were my most recent guest, so tell us a bit about yourself and what's on your channel, what we can expect if we hit it up.
Sure, man. So I do voice acting. That's my main gig. I do that sometimes on my YouTube channel, but my main thing on there is to review video games and movies. And yeah, very passionate about that, along with physical media. And yeah, that's how I met all of you guys, actually. Well, yeah, that's how I met. It's the physical media community that's welcomed me in. So yeah, hello, everyone.
Awesome. Thanks for being here, man. I appreciate it. Next to you, on your right, is somebody in the background there, John?
That's
Is
me,
John
son.
of Mondo Chelevate Movies. So, John, just introduce yourself, mate, and anyone that hasn't met you. And
Yeah, just my name's John, and I do pretty much what everyone else does. You know, live streams, picking up stuff, talking about things, doing rankings of like your favorite movies, 4Ks, and just sort of like the thing with what's it called? With lockdown, I think that's what spurred probably most of us onto doing this, and I think it's really good since I've done it. I think it's been one of the best things I've done actually. But yeah, it's just this kind of same thing that you see on most people's channels. It's just what I do, just my version of that.
well, you do it well, mate. You've got a big following there, so you're obviously doing something right. I tell you, I wish I had started mine in lockdown. I didn't actually. I was kind of just after lockdown. I wish I had when I had more time. I could have got more of a head start. I wish I'd started.
The time's not great these days when you go back to normal life, but to sort of get your foundations built in lockdown was one of the best things to do, because you could just sort of spend all the time on it, and then that was your building blocks kind of thing.
No, that's superb, man. As I say, John, you came on. It was a few months ago now. It wasn't until like September or August time, but had a good laugh, and I'm glad that you've came back on for this one.
Yeah, no problem.
Move on to just to let everyone kind of introduce themselves. So, just below me down here, we have my good mate Ellis of Total Movie Recall. Tell us a bit about yourself, mate.
All right, guys. Yeah, Andy, thanks for having us on, mate.
Welcome.
My primarily main thing is running an Instagram account where I post certain media releases, reviews, bit of my comic book collection. I do about once a month on YouTube. I'll do a stream with my lovely friend Badger, who's on the stream tonight, and we have a little chin wag about once a month. It's top 10 lists, whatever we sort of takes our fancy of the month, new releases, but it's just finding the time to do it at the moment is quite stressful, just with balancing work and stuff like that. So it's only once a month at the moment, but the aim of the game is to actually be an audio podcast, because I like quite long form conversational the video itself and what I listen to at work and stuff like that. So that's the aim, but the main gig is Instagram, really. But yeah, man, thanks for having us on.
No worries. As I kind of said on the previous time, mate, I wouldn't totally kiss your ass like I did the last time, but I think you've got an awesome Instagram page, Ellis. That's how we kind of got chatting on it, because your stories, the music you put with them, the way you film, the way you photograph your collection is pretty awesome, and that's what kind of stuck to me in, and that's how we kind of got to know each other. So definitely check out Ellis's Instagram, and as I say, the YouTube channel that he has to accompany it is just kind of started, but there are some cracking episodes on there with Badger, so I certainly enjoy them. It's been that long since you did one, mate. I'm waiting on the next one.
But we need to get back on Badger. Almost did it last week. I think it all went to hell, but it's fine.
It was my fault.
It's a crazy time of year, though, so it can be forgiven. But I should have said for everyone that's on tonight, folks, if you've never met any of these guys before, you've missed the previous ones, then the links are in the description for everyone's channel. So be sure to check them out and subscribe. And then, last but certainly not least, my good mate Paul TAMBS, my live stream mentor, as I said, off camera, mate. You're the guy that had me on the first time, and that was why I had you on first time, because it only felt natural. Yeah, Paul, you can tell us a bit about yourself and kind of what brought you to this space for anyone that hasn't met you.
Yeah, man. So I've got a channel just called Paul TAMBS Movies, Games and TV. It's a bit of a sandbox of a lot of different other YouTube channels. So it's movie reviews, game reviews, TV reviews, live streams, trailer reactions. Tried a bit of everything. I really got into live streaming, but I got a little bit burnt out with it, which I haven't really done a video or a live stream on my own channel for about 4 months now. I'm working to come back in the new year with a sort of just live stream format. That's where I felt where I shine the most without blowing steam up my own arse. I felt like that's where I shine the most, is doing live streams and hosting live streams. So I'm looking in the new year to getting back into doing that. So, but I've got a catalogue there of videos and other live streams that Andy has been a part of a couple for people to check out if they want to.
No, definitely. I know my brother's in the chat. I'm just going to jump onto some comments in a wee second, but he certainly has been missing you, mate, ever since he first came across you. The first one that we did, and he's been watching your channel, and then obviously he kind of took a bit of a hiatus. So every time I bump into him, he's always wondering when you'll be doing more content again. But you've got, as you say, a big back catalogue there, and there's some stuff with a lot of views on it. So there's obviously people into your hard facts, as you say, mate. You spit hard facts. So that's kind of, you've met everyone now, so I see there's a few people watching, so thanks very much for joining us. As I say, you see the ticker tape at the bottom. Just fire us any questions. We do have a bit of a structure. The show is going to be about what our kind of best and worst of 2022 is. With a bit of a Christmas theme, you'll notice this jumper. If you don't know what this is, you probably shouldn't even be watching this. Watch this chat. Only Paul seemed to get the memo when it came to the Christmas jumpers, but I'm sure everyone's still got the festive spirit.
I don't know any.
But yeah, so just fire the questions away. What your best, what your worst was, or any questions you have for me or for the collective or for any specific guest, and I'll make sure I direct the questioner. But we'll just jump into the comments. So first up, we've got the Campfather. Campfather's also the moderator, so any kind of crap in the chat, and he'll be on it. Thanks for joining us, Campfather, mate.
Yeah, man.
And we have Blu-ray Baz. Hi, chaps, looking good. Andy, John, and myself must go to the same hairdresser.
Yep.
It's not easy. It's not easy when you get to my age, mate, to hold on to your hair. I'm sure John will testify.
Yeah, I don't know what you guys are on about me.
Video tasties, ho ho ho, bros. I'm assuming he's maybe seen my jumper.
Hey, big man.
Aye.
No, I don't.
I take it most of you know Gareth from Video Tasties.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome
Awesome live streamer, Gareth, cracking channel. He's not long broke the 1,000 sub.
Yeah, congratulations, man. For that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
Well done,
pretty
Gareth.
good.
There we go. Right, okay. Mirror Kisser, happening, lads. This live chat couldn't have came at a better time. Currently rough as Melba. Stuck in Dublin Airport, waiting to fly home. Your voices will see me through.
Oh, wow.
So, Mirror Kisser is my brother. So,
What a place to be.
Can't pass laugh. What's that, John?
I'm saying what a place to be stuck.
Dublin. Yeah, he's got a mate over there.
At this time of year.
Christmas market. I think they did a wild one last night. It's obviously rough. Badger got his role as the merchant for you. The people have to know.
See what you started. You see what you started. The last time we were on that stream, you started this. Now I'm just not gonna live this down, am I? Strange.
I was about to fanboy out, man. What?
That role was made for you, Badger. I'm telling you.
No. What's some weird pervy guy opening up his coat saying, "What are you buying?" No.
What are you selling?
There you go. Need to give the impression again. You're ahead of the curve.
I did it. You got to start paying me soon, though, bro.
Kazim, hello, lads. Andy, I saw you took out Cinema Paradiso that I recommended to you. How have you found it? Mate, I've been meaning to properly get back to Instagram. The amount of times I've meant to. But yeah, it was pretty much down to you, mate, that I took it out, and I'm planning on doing a video on it with regards what I think of it as a kind of rental service. But I just want to have done it for a few months. I feel like you can't really just get 2 films off them and then rent them and then review them as a business, you know. But thanks for giving us a heads up, mate, and cheers for joining the chat. But there will be a video coming with regards Cinema Paradiso in the near future. But cheers for joining us. Forgotten World of Movies evening, guys. How's it going, Andy?
How's it going, Andy?
Mate?
Hi, Andy.
Right, okay. Excuse my sniffles here. I've just kind of came down. I was explaining to the guys. I've just kind of came down with the cold just before we went on stream, unfortunately. But c'est la vie. Right, so let's have a look. What's going on? So to start off, seeing as it is coming up to Christmas and I've got the jumper on and all that jazz, just to kind of loosen us up, guys, I thought I would ask the question: what is your favourite Christmas movie? What are you watching? It can be as unconventional or conventional as you like. So I'll start off with, well, I've got to go for Paul, because Paul's the only guy that wore a Christmas jumper. So Paul, hit us with your favourite Christmas flick or what you like to watch this time.
I'm going to take Die Hard off the board because that's the obvious answer. My favourite Christmas movie is actually Scrooged with Bill Murray.
Oh, no.
Nice.
It's a film I look forward to watching every year. Bill Murray is my spirit animal in terms of personality. I just love his dry humour in that film. He's like me around Christmas. He's just miserable because he's working all the time. And people are trying to get him back into the Christmas spirit. And I feel like people try and do that with me every year. But, you know, Bill Murray's one of my favourite comedy actors of all time, and I love watching that film every year. I think it's hilarious.
Yeah, solid start, mate. Scrooge is great. It's not one I've got actually on DVD or Blu-ray or anything like that, but I think I used to have it on DVD. I remember watching it a few years ago. The wife's quite into it, but no, it's a solid pick. Ellis, yourself?
Oh, yeah.
Well, that was my pick. I was going to pick Scrooge.
Always
Bill
happens.
Murray. Yeah, this isn't the first or last time it's going to happen tonight. Definitely not. But yeah, man, Scrooge is awesome. Like, just add to that a little bit. Like, it always freaks me out a little bit more than what it should do. Like, especially the first, when he meets the first ghost, his ex-boss, basically. That whole scene in office is so good. But yeah, if I was going to go like an alternative, if we're going to take Die Hard off the board, which is arguably the best Christmas movie of all time, I'll chuck Lethal Weapon in there, the first one, also set at Christmas, just as an alternative action Christmas movie.
Nice one, mate. Do you think I think we should maybe get the Die Hard like Pinky Elephant out of the room. Let's just tackle it straight on. Does anyone here not think it's a Christmas film? For a start, we're all on it. Do you know? I think it's.
Yeah.
I don't understand people that argue that it isn't. It's like it couldn't be more of a Christmas film if you tried. Like the music, the fact that it's actually set Christmas Eve. There's like jingle bells in the soundtrack. There's Christmas trees everywhere. You know, like I know there's a lot of violence and it's an action film, but not every Christmas film needs to be warm and fluffy, does it? Like, it needs to cater to like all tastes. So we're all in the same boat there. But it's a Christmas film.
I've watched it every Christmas Eve for like the last 5 years. So it's another film to look forward to watching every year. Because I always watch it on Christmas Eve. So
you could throw the same argument about horror. There's a lot of like Christmas / horror films. Like you've got Krampus, and many other ones as well. But like I would say you would only watch Krampus in December time. I wouldn't say you'd watch that middle of July. Die Hard maybe is a little bit of exception. You can watch that any day of the week, any month of the year. But yeah, man.
I mean, I've seen a lot of people say this new Violent Night is going to become their new, adding on to the Christmas list every year. I've not seen it myself yet. I know you have, Andy. I don't know if you guys watched it yet, but I've seen a lot of people say this will be a film I watch every year at Christmas now.
Yeah, I definitely think so.
Is it good? Yeah, is it good?
I don't want to spoil it for anyone. Like I seen it with my brother. We had like Christmas Day out. If you're still watching, And I asked him at the end, I was like, what do you think of that, mate? And I had a big smile on my face, and he just looked at me, smiled, and went, that was a lot of shit. It's like, I thought he was going to lie. He's like, I goes, it's just an action comedy, though. And he's like, yeah, I've had enough action comedies. So he was definitely laughing all the way through it, though. So I don't know what was wrong with him. But I enjoyed it. It wasn't really what I thought it was. I don't want to spoil it in case anyone else is kind of in the same boat going into it. But I think the less you know about it, which I suppose could be said for any film, but the less you know about it, probably the more you'll enjoy it. But it's definitely worth seeing, and I think it'll be joining the circuit of kind of cult Christmas films for sure, once people have got the chance to see it. But we kind of touched on horror Christmas there, and I think the right man to go to after that has got to be Mondo John. Favourite Christmas film, mate?
Well, funny enough,
might be a horror slant on it.
We were, before I go into the horror mode of it, we are just, the next film we're going to watch is going to be Die Hard. Because I've got on 4K, and I said to your wife, I said, right, are we going to get this 4K watched now? Because it's perfect. And she said, yep. So that's the next film we're going to watch. So Die Hard's on slanted for probably Tuesday night. So that's good to go. That's lined up. And she loves that franchise, but Die Hard for me is the best one of the franchise. Although I like the rest of them. But I'm going to say that my favourite Christmas movie is National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. I just think that's perfection. So that's my go-to one. I would watch that every year. And I was going to watch it today, but I thought, no, I'll leave it and just see if Deborah will watch it later on with me, because she likes it as well. But at the moment, one of my favourite horror ones is Silent Night, Deadly Night 2. The awful sequel to Silent Night, Deadly Night, which is a good movie, but the second one's so absolutely pathetic. It's brilliant. So I was just thinking about actually watching that, because half of Silent Night, Deadly Night is in the movie. There's a flashback scene. There's 40 minutes of flashbacks from the first movie before you get Silent Night, Deadly Night 2. So you can basically just watch the second one to watch the first one. It's madness. So that and a lot of people, when people haven't seen it, it's kind of one of these ones that's so widely known for being awful. It's got like a really colourful, and I first heard about it when I was on like YouTube, and I think Movie Worm talked about it and said it's one of the best things he'd seen, just for his bloke's eyebrows when he does all his acting with his eyebrows. So I had to see it, and when I got it, I thought, oh, this is amazing. And then snowballed for everybody. There's a lot of people going about it and how much they love this film, but it's awful, mind. But it's a great film. So there you go.
I'm definitely adding that one to the watch list then.
No, you've got to see it.
So the Campfire's just saying going to the cinema to watch Die Hard this week. I think the Campfire, real name's Scott. I'm sure we went to see Die Hard together when we were like 18 in the cinema. I'm not sure if it was at Christmas though, but maybe he can confirm that. But yeah, I love going to see classic films like that at the cinema. I think I went to see RoboCop this year.
I went to check out Die Hard last year, the year before, around Christmas time. It was the first time I'd seen it on the big screen. It was a cool experience.
Yeah, I think it's good that they're doing that more and more. I don't know if it's just because obviously cinemas have been on their ass a little bit since COVID, and I feel they're a bit more open to trying different ways to get people in. And I've noticed more and more, you know, they're doing these like 30th anniversary, 35th anniversary kind of showings of classic films just to get people through the door. But yeah, I think it's great. And
I love it because you just know you're in a room full of fans of that movie.
Yeah. I think I've seen that happen more this year than any other year, about getting these classics back in the cinema, like The Thing, that type of thing. So, like Paul says, if they could send a sort of flyer out around the area where I live and say, look, we're going to show The Thing, it would be ram-packed. You know, it would be great that to go with like people who love that movie.
Yeah, it's like a bittersweet thing. Like I went to see RoboCop with Campfire actually this year for the 35th anniversary, and it was a great experience. Like you say, it was like a Tuesday night, and it was mobbed because it was only that night that it was on at my local, and it was rammed. You know, it was as though it was like a premiere of a Marvel film or something like that. Everyone was there. Everyone's obviously. There'll be the odd person maybe watched it for the first time with their dad or something like that. But it was mainly people that loved the movie. But it was just a shame, you know, because I couldn't help but notice like that you don't get that with new films though. like, you know, new films come out, and I've been to the cinema, and you're like one of about 5 people that's watching it. So it was like, it'd be nice if we could kind of, you know, get back to that, where new films get a great turnout, but still it's great to see these classics on the big screen. But yeah, so Magpie Movies is saying evening all. He's also saying agree with John. Die Hard is my #1 Christmas movie. Yeah, I don't think you're alone there,
I think
mate.
it's a lot of people's actually.
Yeah. We watched Source Code last night. What a movie that is. Pulp Fiction 4K tonight. Awesome.
I watched that last night. It's the Pulp Fiction 4K is unbelievable. Just looks fantastic.
Yeah, I totally agree. I got it as well, John, and it was one of the top ones for me of the year anyway. Really,
I'm not
really
allowed
good.
it till Christmas.
Well, actually, when I watched it, I've seen the film loads of times. I hadn't seen it for a bit of a chunk of time. And when I watched it on this watch, I found the movie to be more like a comedy. It played out more of a comedy than it's ever done. Probably when I watched it, it's been more serious on previous watches, but this one was a bit more like I saw the funny side of everything in the movie. Personally, you know, it's a bit weird.
I kind of, maybe it's just my sense of humour, but I've always kind of found it like more funny than anything else, and kind of laugh my way through it all. But yeah, it's just such a good film. It's such an easy film to rewatch as well. Badger, we are getting round to you, mate. What's your favourite Christmas film to wrap up this kind of talk?
So good, man. Yeah, so it seems like this is just a session where we all kiss Die Hard's butt, because that's exactly what I was gonna say. But look, obviously, yeah, the 4K is exquisite, by the way. I've seen it. It looks bloody stunning on my 75-inch TV. It's bloody faultless. But in a way, if I'm not going to be that cliche, though, and say that, what I would say, it's either Home Alone, complete masterpiece, or this one I actually do prefer to Home Alone, but I don't know if it counts because it might not be exactly a Christmas film. But we don't get Thanksgiving over here in England. Planes, Trains, and Automobiles might be it for me.
Yeah.
That film, if it's not in my top 20, it's in my top 30. It means everything to me. It's my religion. John Candy was perfection in that. It always gets me feeling, it was so good every time I see it. It makes me feel great, but at the same time, it hits you hard. John Candy hurts you, man. He breaks your heart in that flick, and the music is phenomenal. I love that film. It is a masterpiece to me. So, yeah, if I'm not going to say, Die Hard or Home Alone, I guess it'll be that one. If it counts as a Christmas film, I don't know.
Good picks, mate. No, they've all been good picks. I think all understandable why they're your favourites. Yeah, mine would probably, like, Die Hard would certainly be right up there for me. Two that I would say, one totally conventional, one a bit unconventional. Totally conventional one for me would be It's a Wonderful Life. I love watching that at Christmas. I think it kind of like hammers home what Christmas is all about, really, what the holidays are all about. Such a timeless classic, and I'm a bit of a sap, so it always gets me going at the end.
It's brilliant. It's a brilliant film.
Once I've seen it, I've always got the massive lump in my throat at the end. So that's kind of one that I like to watch. That's like, you know, an out and out, no mistake Christmas movie. But probably the kind of unconventional one would be Batman Returns. It's one that I like to watch at Christmas. As not a Christmas movie, it's a comic book movie, isn't it? But it is on the nose set at Christmas, and it's referenced a lot. I just watched it the other night on 4K. First time I've watched it all the way through on 4K, and it's a gleaming transfer. Like, it's such a nice.
Beautiful.
I would say it's better than Batman '89. That's
so,
I thought that. I don't know if it's maybe just because the production value of Batman Returns, you know, is probably a bit better, maybe better cameras used, whatever, better film stock. Everything's a bit more polished than Batman Returns as well. You know, the costume and everything. It maybe lends itself a bit more to HDR and stuff as well. But yeah, I like watching Batman Returns at Christmas, and I thoroughly enjoyed it.
I think my local cinema showed Batman Returns this week.
Yeah, because it's the 30th anniversary.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So there's a few been showing it, but I just watched it on the 4K, not even realising that they were showing it at my local. So I didn't have the appetite for seeing it at the cinema, having just watched it. But definitely one that'd be worth getting to cinema to see. No, that's just dealt with the kind of like Christmas side of things. There's some good picks there. Let's see what. So I suppose that kind of takes us on to. So 2022 has been a lot of movies out in 2022, but what was your favourite, Badger? What was your kind of best new release in 2022 that you enjoyed?
Sure, I've got to unmute myself there. Yeah, I thought I had a chill time then for my Tourette's. Right, yeah. So my number one film that I saw in 2022. I'm so bloody happy, man. I reviewed it at the start of 2022. And I said at the end, I can't wait for the Blu-ray. It's going to be awesome. And then there was no Blu-ray at all, and it got on my freaking skin. I'm so tired of them doing that, man. But thankfully, I just recently managed to get it. They just released it less than a month ago. Hell yeah. Boiling Point.
Oh,
Mm.
was that this year, was it? Was that like very early on, January?
I think it was like February, March time. I think so, yeah. I think this film is bloody phenomenal. And my favorite type of films are always the grounded ones, the ones that are more relating to us as human beings, where I'm not usually into the whole suits and ties, big epic superhero stuff. Just not usually my scene. Boiling Point was this grounded film set entirely in one restaurant in one night with the phenomenal Stephen Graham as the lead. In my opinion, he is our modern day Al Pacino and Robert De Niro. He is phenomenal.
Yeah.
I think he will not be forgotten for a long time. He's stunning. And the whole film was literally shot in one take. It's one whole take for an hour and a half. The camera never cuts. There's no edited scenes spliced together. The whole thing is shot in one continuous take, handheld cam, panning throughout the whole restaurant, following them, from the kitchen to the kitchen porters to the customers, showing how all the chefs have to deal with these bastard customers. It's a 5-star restaurant, so it's artsy fartsy wankers are all there, and they've got to deal with these horrible pricks. But at the same time, Stephen Graham's character has got a lot to unpack. He's got a lot going on, and the whole film is kind of like his descent into a breakdown. And he's got a lot to deal with. And it's not just him, it's other people too, who he's working with, all the co-workers. And it's phenomenal, man, in my opinion. I thought it was exquisite when I saw it. And the way the whole one-shot camera tactic elevated the story to new heights, making you feel like you're relating to them a lot more, like you're in their shoes. It was suffocating. It was absolutely suffocating. I loved it. I thought it was phenomenal, and I'm never going to forget it. And I'm so happy we got that bloody Blu-ray.
How did that Blu-ray come about, Badger? If you were saying they didn't initially release it, was it like petition, or was it just?
Oh, well, that one I'm not too sure about. Sorry, go on.
Was it quite a bit of time then after it came out?
Yeah, it came out less than a month ago, I believe.
Right.
It was made by Second Sight. So they're always passionate about their stuff. They're like Xavi, man. They do like such great shit, man. They're awesome. But sorry,
is that a kind of box set then? Just looking at it, there is like a kind of semi-box set. It's quite smart.
It's a box set. It's got like a normal Blu-ray in it, along with loads of art cards and a little booklet to go with it. And I think it's bloody fantastic myself. I bloody love it. And yeah, I don't know why it came about, why it took them so long. I've got no clue. Either way, though, they finally did it. I don't know why it took them so long, but they finally got around to doing it. And when they did, I think it's top quality what we got here. I think it's wonderful. It looks exquisite as well. Maybe not exactly 4K standard. I just don't really give it down. It's a phenomenal film. Hands down, it's my favorite film of the year. And this is how much I love it. It was so close to being Everything Everywhere All at Once. That was going to be my number one favorite film. That film is one of the most creative films I've ever seen in my life. That film is remarkable. Everything Everywhere All at Once. Ellis, you were right, dude. You recommended it to me for so long. I checked it out. Okay, he knows what he's talking about. Great film. The Boiling Point, just because of its relatability and its grounded nature, which is always my thing, I just had to put it at number one. I think it's bloody phenomenal. And it's the first 10 out of 10 I ever gave on my YouTube channel. I love it very much.
I need to watch a review of that, mate. I've not seen that one. I started watching Boiling Point stupidly during a down, like I hope no one from my work's watching. But during the night shift, I started watching like 10 minutes of it when it was on Netflix. And you know that way, like I totally get why it was a 10 out of 10 for you, because I started watching it and I was hooked. Like the first 10 minutes, I was like, right, I'm right into this. I'm right into this. And then something happened at work and I had to go and I was absolutely gutted. And didn't get back to it that night. And then I don't know why, but I just didn't. You know, you'd have thought the next night, maybe when I was at home, I would have picked it up again, but I just didn't. But that's it. Now that you've mentioned it, Badger, I'm definitely going to go and watch it. I think Stephen Graham's like phenomenal. I've never seen Stephen Graham in anything that I've thought was phoned in or you know. But and it's amazing to think that the first thing that I seen him in certainly was Snatch, when he plays that kind of like he's good in it, but he's just a kind of daft like bit character, isn't he?
Tommy the
all the people in that movie, he would be the one that's the most kind of prevalent actor at the moment.
Tommy the Tit, his character was called Tommy.
Yeah,
and he was great in that, but he was a shy little timid B-to-mel. But then you see him in a movie like This Is England, and that's the film that made me a big fan of him. That film is one of the best I've ever seen. This Is England is another masterpiece in my opinion, and he was perfection in that film. And
he's everywhere just now, isn't he? He seems to just be in everything. TV movies. He's in that Matilda movie as well, isn't he? Like mad green hair.
Yeah, that's right. I haven't seen it yet though, but yeah, you're right. Here's the new one coming out. Yeah.
Awesome. John, yourself, mate, what's been your kind of favourite film of 2022?
Well, my favourite film was one that I went to see with Deborah, thinking it was going to be all right, average, and not really much to talk about. Probably might even fail completely, but I was completely wrong, and it was Maverick, Top Gun Maverick. And I shouldn't really like it. I should think it's not really my type of movie, but I'll tell you what, it's just perfection. Went to see it twice, would have went to see it 3 times if we could have done, but we didn't get around to it. And I've got no bad things I can say about the movie. It just hits home on every level. And I have seen Top Gun, and I didn't see it till about 2 years ago, and I thought it was average. I thought it was, I didn't really like early Top Gun, Tom Cruise anyway, but I quite like him these days. So for me, it was a surprise to me that it was just so good, and it was just everything that you could ever want from a movie. It was cheesy, yes, but it had to be. It felt like an 80s movie, but it had to be. They just nailed it completely for me. And it wouldn't be one, if someone had given me a list of the movies that I've seen this year before actually seeing them, I would not have had Top Gun Maverick anywhere near the top. I would just say, oh, well, down the bottom, but it blew Deborah away. So but I will say Stephen Graham is just a legend. So I will get around to watching Boiling Point for definite. And Everything Everywhere All at Once is an amazing film as well. The editing in that is just unreal. I don't know how they did it, if I'm honest.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Yeah,
it's another one I've not seen either. I really want to see it. Did it get a release? I know it got released in the US on 4K, but did it get a UK release? It didn't.
I've got the US 4K, but I don't know if it's got much of a release. It's an A24 film. They don't get released over here for some reason, which is a shame.
Second Sight tends to be the one, the label that take them on, isn't it? A24.
It will come over, but it takes a long time, sadly, because it's an amazing film.
Yeah, because I hadn't even realized. It was only when I've recently joined that Cinema Paradiso, and I thought, oh, awesome, that's a film that I'll add. Started looking it up, and it wasn't. They pretty much got everything.
It was on Amazon Prime for a bit. I know.
Yeah, I might have to bite the bullet then and watch.
I don't know if it's still on there, but yeah.
Just on Boiling Point, I'm saying the Campfire saying, see, they are making a TV series of Boiling Point. Didn't know that. I've not seen the film, so I don't know where it would go. If it's going to be a prequel or if it's a follow-on to what happens. So
I don't know how they could do that really, but yeah, if they do a follow-up, that would be cool. Absolutely no spoilers whatsoever. But the ending to Boiling Point, I like it, absolutely fine. But I did want more. I did. If they do a sequel, that would be awesome. I'd like to see more of this. But TV series, I don't know if I like the idea of that.
Maybe maybe it'll be worth checking out at least.
We'll see.
Ellis, mate, your favourite of 2022?
Yeah, so there was a bit of back and forth with this one. It was back and forth between Top Gun and The Batman, but I'm going to go with The Batman as my favourite film of this year. It's the only film that I've watched like over 5 times this year, the whole way. There's definitely issues I have with that film as a Batman fan. There's a couple of little nitpicks here and there. But I think coming from like a really grounded, realistic take with like the Nolan film to then having a little bit of a mixture of the old with the new, so it's a bit realistic. But I think the way Matt Reeves is like handled Gotham City is like what's really drawn me to the film. Like the sets that they've built for the Gotham City, like just the Iceberg Lounge, like how they built that whole set, and it's only a street, which shouldn't seem like that fantastic, but I just think it looks awesome. And Robert Pattinson, man, like I was sold from the get-go, like definitely. Like if you've seen like Good Time and his previous work, he's done a film a few years back with Guy Pearce called The Rover. It's absolutely excellent. I think it's another A24 film. But he's earned his stars and stripes the last 10 years, in my opinion. Like the roles he's been picking and stuff has led him on this like 10-year journey of weird, obscure roles to then picking Batman, which is like a pretty generic role, arguably. But I think he brought something new to the role. Like, I think the conscious decision of having his Bruce Wayne be a bit more like just not Bruce Wayne whatsoever was an interesting decision. I just wish we saw more of it. But it's without a doubt my favorite film of the year, 100%. It's the one I went back to the most. Like I really enjoyed Top Gun, and I appreciate everything Top Gun did for, you know, like how old that franchise truly is. Like the hairs stood up on the back of my neck, like the minute of Top Gun Maverick opening up. But then the first 15 minutes of Batman to me is just like some of the best on-screen Batman content that we've ever seen. The opening to the train sequence is phenomenal. The way it builds up with the music, it's great. But yeah, that's hands down my favorite film of the year.
Yes, I think there's a lot of people that would choose the Batman. I thought the Batman was awesome as well, and kind of delivered. Having watched it again though, I find it quite a difficult film to sort of get through. Watching it repeatedly, I think watching it for the first time is fine, but I've watched it 3 or 4 times now. I think it does have some pacing issues, especially towards the bridge between the kind of second and the third act. I feel it kind of grinds to it. It runs out of gas, and then it kind of like picks up again. But I don't know. That's just my kind of thought on it. But it was an awesome film, but I didn't think it was without its flaws, certainly. But good choice, mate. And before we jump on to yourself, what your faces just came in with? Has anyone seen Fat Man with Mel Gibson?
I want to.
It's on Amazon Prime at the moment, I think.
It's not. Is it? I know he's dressed as a Santa on the cover, but is it?
Yeah, I think he's like a hitman or something, dressed as Santa, something along them lines.
That'd be good.
Nothing to do with Christmas. They've just flung a Santa suit on him because they're released at Christmas or something. I don't know.
I think if it's set at Christmas, I've not seen it. I think it came out like 2 years ago.
Yeah,
around Christmas time. Well, I don't remember many people talking about it.
He is meant to be Santa, from what I remember. I haven't seen it, but apparently he is Santa Claus, and he's pissed off with like how badly Christmas has gone, and the kids don't believe anymore or something. And I know it gets really violent, but I haven't seen it. But I know that he is meant to be Santa, though. Yeah. There we go.
Mel is Santa, and a hitman is after him. Right, okay.
That sounds good.
Awesome.
Kind of want to watch it now. It sounds pretty interesting. And so, Paul, for yourself, you've got the impossible job of trying to pick a favourite film once everyone else has been.
Ellis stole it. You know, Ellis stole it. Yeah, it is the Batman for me as well. I'm a massive fan of Batman. Have been since I can remember. I remember the build up to that film was just through the roof. My hype level was out of this world. I remember all the teasers coming out, and we had to wait for it. And I remember sitting down in that IMAX cinema, and you know that nervous feeling you get when you're like, "Oh, please be good, please be good." Within the first, like Ellie said, 15 minutes, I was just like, "I'm in. I am locked in." Matt Reeves shot the shit out of that film. I love my Batman grounded. I like my Batman as a detective. I like the dark, gritty Batman comics. So I was right at home with it. Robert Pattinson was fantastic. Paul Dano as the Riddler was fantastic. The Batmobile chase scene in that film is incredible. Watching that on IMAX was one of my favorite cinema experiences of the year. It does have pacing issues. It does have issues. Not a perfect movie, but I went to watch it like 3 or 4 times at the cinema, and I was locked in every time. And I've watched it twice on 4K at home. And if you put the 3 hours aside, right, I'm going to watch the Batman, I just lose myself in that film from like start to finish. I can't wait to see where they go with it. I really can't.
I'm the same as you, mate. I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with it. Although God knows what that's going to be like, because obviously James Gunn is like breaking people's hearts all over the shop just now with like the news with Henry Cavill, and God knows what he's got planned. But he's making some bold choices, so he's obviously got I don't think you make like calls like that, binning off pretty much the world's favourite or modern day favourite Superman on a whim. So he must have like an overarching plan that he's trying to execute. But yeah, it'd be interesting to know where he's going to go with it. I know people have like called him out on Twitter and stuff saying, that there's rumours that he was going to try and include Pattinson's Batman into like his new DCU. But then he's came out and shot that down and saying, "Oh, that's a lot of rubbish. Like that's all rumour now." But that's also what he said about Henry Cavill before we found out that he had shopped him. So I don't know if it's just smoke and mirrors with him. I don't know what he's.
Paul, how would you feel about that one?
The Henry Cavill thing, I think it's the smart thing to do. Me and Alice had a little bit of a conversation about this the other day on Instagram. I think what he did with Henry Cavill, I reckon that conversation they had, Henry Cavill, James Gunn, was a very mature business decision. They sat down. He was probably, a bit miffed, but I think even Henry Cavill, he probably understands the state of the DCEU as well. And James Gunn's a very smart man, and he knows comics. So I reckon Henry Cavill's give him his blessing. Said, do the best you can and see what happens down the road. Now, if it come out saying he was then introducing the Matt Reeves Batman world into the DCEU, I'd have a lot more to say about it, because I think they should just leave that alone, just make that its own thing. They've said that's going to be its own thing. James Gunn said he ain't touching it. Because the DCEU at the moment, I just don't care about it. I'm not bothered. I know a lot of people say they've got Marvel fatigue. I haven't, but I have got DCEU fatigue. There's been a few films I've enjoyed. Suicide Squad most recently. I got a kick out of it. It's a good film on its own. But in terms of the whole thing, I don't care where it's going. So, but I do care where the Batman's going. I'm so excited to see what Matt Reeves can do with that world and the spin-off TV shows they're doing and that. I'd rather that just stay on its own so I can enjoy it. And then hopefully he does something good with the DCU down the line, we'll see. But I'd rather him just leave the Batman as it is. Let Reeves have it, let him take control, let him carry on with his vision.
I kind of, not to dwell on this for too long, but I kind of think that like the MCU thing is like people, I know you're saying you don't have Marvel fatigue, mate, but I know there are a lot of people that are just getting, not so much fatigued, but just they can't keep up because the MCU is becoming this absolute monster of a thing. You have to watch all the TV shows, blah, blah, blah. Maybe DC should go, you know what, let's stop trying to like copy MCU because we've not been able to get it right for the last 10 years. So why don't we, what we have had success with is going down the solo route, like really focusing on our characters and just having their own contained worlds, Joker, Batman. That's the ones that they've had success with. So maybe they should just double down on that and go, well, maybe people are getting tired of extended universes and we should actually double down on what we've been good at, which is giving like full attention to a character within their own universe. It's just my take on it, but we'll see what James Gunn can do. But yeah, cool. For me,
and yeah, what about you? I was
for me, I think all the picks there. Yours has probably been the most indie one, Badger. I'm glad you brought it up because it's reminded me I need to go and finish watching Boiling Point. But yeah, for me, it's probably Top Gun Maverick. Probably no shocker there, but I think purely for the the cinematic feels of seeing Top Gun Maverick, it's the only, maybe not the only, but it's the film I would say of which I've came out of watching and thought, you know what, I was completely thrilled from beginning to end there. That's for me what going to the cinema is about. It's to come away, feeling totally satisfied and having had a great 2 hours. I was on the edge of my seat with Top Gun Maverick. I genuinely didn't know how it was going to end. I didn't know what they were going to do with it. not to spoil, I mean, I'm pretty sure pretty much everyone's seen it by now anyway, but I didn't really know, if characters were going to survive if they weren't. So there was kind of genuine stakes. And as John had said, it's cheesy, yeah. I also kind of called the plot before and I kind of knew what they were going to do with Goose's son and all that. But it was so well executed that it didn't matter. So yeah, Top Gun Maverick for me was the biggest highlight at the box office this year.
It's one of them films where I always like to say, and it's what you go to cinema for. Top Gun Maverick is a perfect example of the reason to go to cinema for me.
I think there's a reason that like took over $1 billion at the box office. It's not a fluke. I think when films start taking that kind of money in, that's repeat business as well. That's people keep going back.
Yeah,
definitely. That's a good point you make, mate. That's not first time views, is it? That's a lot of that's people going back to watch maybe on IMAX or 4DX. I know a lot of mates of mine that went and seen it, initially, and then went IMAX, then went 4DX. They went through all the different formats, understandably.
When we went to see with Top Gun Maverick, when we went to see the Batman, me and my son went to see it, and my son went to see it with my wife. So I had a really good experience with the Batman, and I thought it was exactly what I wanted. I wanted to see it in the cinema because it was such a good movie and so well made. But Maverick thrilled me from beginning to end, and you don't get like a movie that thrills you. I mean, the Batman was a perfect movie. It was the best Batman movie I'd seen for a long time. Loved it. I loved the whole look of it, and the fact that as soon as Robert Pattinson got a hold of them bad guys and just like half killed them by punching them just into the floor, I thought, this is it. This is for me. But with Maverick, it just seemed to be just on a high all the way through it. It was as if it went to the 80s and took the 80s out, put in a new movie, and 85 this thrill fest. So for me, it was my best cinema experience. It was kind of like a throwback experience for me.
It's a feel-good movie, isn't it? It's like
you
just feel awesome from beginning to end. Everything about it, the soundtrack.
I was in bits at the end.
There's
I was like, oh.
There's some big emotional moments in it. Yeah, for sure. Definitely.
Andy, you were correct, by the way, in your video review. How fucking phenomenal was that 4K Blu-ray, man? It was something else, man. I was like, geez, Tom Cruise's nose pores have never looked so beautiful. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
He still looks amazing. I thought surely maybe with this amazing 4K we're going to like see the cracks on Tom Cruise. Still an amazing looking 60-year-old, annoyingly so. I mean, he looks fucking younger than me, and I'm 35. Do you know what I mean?
I just love it when these movies they go to that IMAX full screen, and you're just like, oh, use all my TV.
Like, I'm saying that it was my best cinema experience of 2022. But it nearly wasn't, because the missus and I were running late, and it was the IMAX in Glasgow, and she was desperate for food, and I like seeing the trailers and all that, right? And I'm like, look, we've had dinner. You don't need food. I'm gonna miss this. I don't want to miss the beginning. I don't mind the trailers, but I don't want to miss any of the actual film. And she's like giving me a hassle, going, no, I want to enjoy myself as well. Let me have food and all that will be fine. And I'm like, you don't understand. I'm gonna miss it. Came in. Absolutely mobbed, because it's Top Gun Maverick, so it's not like a normal showing where you've got loads of space. And I'd obviously bought us like good seats right in the centre, so you're pissing everyone off. You can hear all the people tutting and all that. It's like, turning up late and everything. I've got big trays of like nachos, right, and a big juice, popcorn and all that, and I'm squeezing by everybody. And I sit down to this guy who looks suitably pissed off, and then Sam takes the lids off like the guacamole and the sour cream, and she's like, hold that. Hold that, and they just watch the lids off, and I'm like, aye, like not paying attention at all to what she's saying. And as soon as I take it off her, poof, off it goes, man. Sour cream, guacamole, everywhere. Even more annoyed. He's like, not only are they late, and they're fucking throwing food about everywhere. So, like, she's like, oh, for God's sake, we waited all that time, and it's like, and the film's on now, right, and it's doing the whole danger zone thing. I'm not taking it in at all, because I'm like having a domestic with Sam. And then she's like, right, for God's sake, watch. So we've got another tray of nachos, and she goes, right, now watch for this one. So she's like, I've taken the lid off this as well, hold it proper. And I'm like, right, okay, I'm not going to drop it again like that. Took it again. God, the next one's away as well. Like the whole floor was covered in like sour cream, guacamole, and a lot, man. Nearly completely ruined the film for me. But like having a domestic, I was lucky to still be in there.
You know what, man? No offense to you, no offense, man, but I'm not gonna lie. I would much rather pay 25 quid to watch two Scottish people argue than watch Top Gun Maverick.
I was more worried I was going to end up square going that, like having to defend myself against the guy who's getting pissed off next to me.
I love the start of Top Gun Maverick where it literally just mirrored the original film, and the Paramount logo comes up and you get that bong, and I just looked at me mate and was just like, "Oh, here we go."
Yeah, got everything right in that movie.
Yeah.
Right, we went on about that for ages. As much as it's good fun, right? Let's move on then. I've got an interesting question here actually I want to put up that I've been holding on to. I think there's a bit of spam in the chat as well, Campfire. If you're there to wield your hammer, mate. If you're still there, just get them. Anyway, he's put this one up, so that was quite interesting. If you had to pick 3 pieces of film memorabilia props for your collection, what would they be? John, I'll ask you that first. Even if it's just one, if you 3's quite a lot on the spot. But...
Well, strangely enough, it might sound like a lie, this, but it wasn't. When we went, there's a place in Newcastle in the town centre. It's called Hancock Museum, and they had this show on of film memorabilia. And what it was this fella had his private sort of collection. He brought to the museum and he let everybody see it. So my son and one up there, my son was there, and what we did was sort of, and I was kind of half interested because I thought we'd more for him. There was a bloke dressed as in the Batman suit. It was the Batman '89 suit, you know, and he was smoking a tab. And my son's petrified of this fella, but it was quite humorous. And that went through this sort of it's thought like thing where you had to go through, but it was like doing like Alien, where they shooting all these things at you, and that it was quite scary for him, but it was quite funny. But what the fella had in it was, and he seemed legit. This fella, he had the lightsaber from Return of the Jedi, the actual one, and he just let you hold it as well, because he was going. And I thought, there's no way he's going to let you hold it. It's just a bit of plastic, you know. It's nothing to write home about. But if he was telling the truth, and it was what he said, I have held the lightsaber from Return of the Jedi. So that was completely blew me mind, that. But if I had to go for anything prop from a collection, it would have to be something, I would imagine, from a Clockwork Orange, because I think some of them things do still exist. I wouldn't want to go for the big huge phallus, you know, the one that bobbles all over the place. I wouldn't go for that because I can't put it anywhere in the house. Just somebody come in the house, hello, look at this. But but I would if I had something else from there, I would like to get some from a Clockwork Orange, but I don't, nothing like that. Yeah.
So the big cop from Clockwork Orange.
That's the one. Imagine it though. I think it still exists, you know. It's about. Wow.
Yeah. No worries, mate. That was an interesting one. Do you know, I noticed, and I watched your most recent video. I think it was your most recent video, John, and you were fortunate enough to get Clockwork Orange for the 6th time or something.
I've got 13 of them now, I think. I've got a 14th one down there, which I haven't shown yet. I've got this other thing I've got off bars, and what I'm thinking of doing is I'm thinking of putting a video on and just saying, look, there's everything I've got of Clockwork Orange, the physical media from VHS to now 4Ks, and I'm going to try and work out what dates were all released. You know, when the video came out in '99, and then some in 2001 and whatever. So I'm going to do that, and then rather than unboxing this before that, I'm going to unbox it on that video, and that's going to be me ultimate Clockwork Orange thing. I don't think I've got anything more to get. I think the 13 things out is as full as I can of it. So
you can't stop on 13. No, it's an unlucky number. So you need to go at least to 14.
Well, yeah, I'm just thinking that now. Yes.
Do you know I've never actually seen it? We were messing the other day, John, weren't we? I've never actually seen it before.
You've got to put that right. It's so
picked
good.
it up on 4K the other day there from CX. So I'm definitely going to watch it. But as I was saying to you, I know that it's quite a kind of heavy duty, violent movie. So I didn't know if watching it the run up to Christmas was maybe
very violent, but it's not as heavy as you think. It's a lot more funnier. The last time I watched it, I found it quite a funny film. It's a lot funnier than you would think. But the fact is, what it's got in it. But it's not really laughing at that. But it's got some heavy subjects in. But you're laughing at the other things, the predicaments and that. So it's good. It's not as heavy as you think.
Ellis, has anyone else got anything like any belters that they'd want? Ellis, yourself, or any props? You've got a lot of cool props in your flat anyway, haven't you?
I've got a couple of collectibles and stuff like that, but if I was wanting some proper like actual movie, I think if I was going to go with 3, it'd be Deckard's gun, Blade Runner. I'll go for that one. It'd be Wesley Snipes' sword from the first Blade movie.
That'd be awesome. Yeah,
that'd be sick. And I'll go for Michael Keaton's Jordan boots in there, Batman Returns. Yeah. I'll do my Iron in them, man.
The Michael Keaton's boots were actually a pair of Nike Air Max, weren't they, or something? I like Nike Jordans, and then
they were like a combination. And I think it was for Returns, not 89.
I think they just like bastardized them, hadn't they, for the first one? I think come the second one, because I think Michael Keaton loved them so much they were comfortable. Like I think they actually made them bespoke for them, weren't they? I think I remember reading something like that. Anyway, no, good picks. Yourself, Paul? Anything you get?
Right. Three pieces of memorabilia from films. I'm going with the Proton Pack from Ghostbusters, the pulse rifle from Aliens. And maybe just like an endoskeleton in the corner of my room from the Terminator, from like Stan Winston's collection, or someone just go and take it and just put it in the corner over there. That'd be cool.
That'd be pretty decent, big 6 foot one.
Yeah.
Badger?
Yeah, I'd go with Bruce Campbell's chainsaw from Evil Dead 2.
Yes.
There's many versions of them, but I don't care which one, any of them. As long as his sweat graced it, I don't care. All right, I just want one. Number two would be either Kyle Reese's Nike shoes from the first Terminator, or the arm from Terminator 2.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. However, the last one though, definitely, and I'm gonna put this at the end because I actually have looked for this. I actually have, and I found the fucker, and I couldn't get it because it was $5,000. It was Bruce Willis's fucking costume from Unbreakable, his raincoat, his rain poncho. They sold it for they sold it for like $5,000 or something like that. They did $3,000 to $5,000. They sold it for. I couldn't afford it, so I couldn't get it. But it was there. It was being auctioned off, and I was like, yes, but couldn't do it sadly.
The thing is with that, like clothing, I just want to wear it though. You should know.
Just sitting in your house,
just sitting in your big raincoat on. And the best of it is, people would never know that's where it was from. They just go look at the window, going, "Look at that guy with that big mad raincoat on." Like, what the hell is he playing?
It's not even raining.
It's not raining. Middle of the summer, I was like trying to move.
Well, number one, I wouldn't be able to wear it because I'm far too fat for it. Okay, and number two, I wouldn't be able to wear it because after 2 minutes it will be caked in my semen. So that's just the way it goes. But, sorry, did I push that too far? I'll blame it on this. Naughty. I'm sorry. Go on. I said nothing.
I don't think I can really follow that, mate. Never know. Yeah, the Blade
I'll drink to that.
The Blade Runner for me. No, I actually just watched Blade Runner again for the other night there on 4K all the way through. Brilliant transfer.
Yeah, you finally watched the 4K. Finally,
I know, because I kept putting it off, and then I got the new Film Vault one, and I thought, I'm going through all the stuff inside. I just was like, tonight's the night, you're gonna watch it. all the way through. I've seen it loads of times, but I hadn't watched the 4K actually all the way through. But really enjoyed it. But I love the tie shirt combo that Deckard wears. Like I'd actually wear that out, like that kind of Aztec pattern.
Yeah.
With the kind of matching square tie.
Yeah.
I've seen that on Prop Store before, going on auction like for stupid money, like 40 grand or something like that. But yeah, that'd be pretty cool. But a little silly little prop that I actually do have is Vesper Lynn's treasury agent card from Casino Royale. It's like a genuine article. So that when they meet in the train and she slides it across, I don't know if it's the one that's actually on camera, because no doubt there would have been like whatever, like half a dozen of them made or something like that. But it is actually one from Casino Royale that a guy I work with is in touch. One of his mates is like creates like kind of fake guns and stuff. He mass produces movie props for productions, and he has so he can get access to loads of different stuff. So he's got stuff he doesn't even realise, and he just sometimes says to my mate, just go through that box and see if there's any you fancy. And he found this, and he went, I know someone that will appreciate that. So it's tucked inside my Casino Royale steelbook to make it that a little bit more unique. But I'll need to put that on Instagram or something one time. But no, good question from the campfire. Enjoyed. I'll just batter through some of these and then we'll get on to the worst. Chris Kyle is saying, Maverick Death, my film of 2022. Yeah, you're in good company there, Chris. Video Tasties has also said, what ultimate collectible physical media did you put in your letter to Santa? Quick fire, like a few seconds. Ellis?
I've already got mine off Santa, but it's not come yet. It's a pre-order. It's the new Fifth Element Zabi exclusive. It's comes in like a box set. It's unbelievable. There was like a £60 one and a £100 one. Just got the £60 one off. Yeah.
Nice. Paul, yourself?
Pulp Fiction 4K. I have to wait.
Won't be disappointed with it, mate. Though it'll be worth the wait, I can assure you.
Yeah.
Badger?
I haven't asked for anything yet, but I'd imagine it would be Fright Night on 4K, because I still haven't seen that yet.
I've not seen that either.
That is I watched that for the first time the other night. That is an absolute blinder of a film. I've never seen that film before. I watched it last weekend. I watched that and Roadhouse for the first time. It was a lot to take in, man.
I've only ever seen the remake, which I enjoyed. I know that people I'm
good film.
The original's the best, but
Andy,
I enjoyed the remake. It was good.
Yeah. The remake's good, man. The remake is
I like
good.
I don't mind the remake. It's one of the better ones.
Mm-hmm.
And yourself, John? Anything?
Well, I've got on pre-order, which would have been the Christmas, but it's now for Christmas. It should have been out for Christmas. Is Martin, the Giorgio Romero vampire flick from 1976 or 77, and it's always been the ones that's always been like a dodgy copy. Arrow released it. It was pretty poor on DVD, and the fact that Second Sight went. Because what Second Sight are like, when they do a movie, they'll try and find the best, and they'll hold out as well until the good stuff comes out, the good elements. So apparently they've got this amazing one coming out, but it's been put back to February now or January. So that's what my one is, but it's not coming out next year. But can't wait to see that one.
Awesome. A bit different. I know you like your kind of like your niche kind of horror stuff, John.
But it's funny because it's one of those ones with, everyone knows Giorgio Romero from Dawn of the Dead, and it's he's got these kind of weird ones that are like tucked away in his stuff that you don't really know about, but when you know about them, they're amazing. And Martin is one is like a vampire film you've never seen before, because he's just a real kid who thinks he's a vampire, so he goes around like sort of killing people and just draining blood with like syringes and stuff like that. He's like a modern day vampire. Like, imagine somebody being thinking a vampire and drinking their blood. You've got to kill them first and take it out with a syringe and that. So but there's more to it than that. But I just and the fellow who plays Martin, John Amplis, he's on Facebook, and I've actually talked to him a few times, and he's quite a decent bloke. So he's been in a few films himself. So yeah, interested to get that one.
Yeah, for me, it's just nothing too kind of niche and like that. I'm hoping to get Nope on 4K. I've seen it at the cinema, but looking forward to checking it out. And I'm hoping to get the first edition one from HMV.
Yeah.
And Lord of the Rings. So I haven't seen the Lord of the Rings films in donkeys, and I fancy getting the 4K box set 'cause it was down at a good price. So I kind of sent the link to my mum and dad. So hopefully that's what I'll be getting from Santa on the 4K side of things.
I normally get like vouchers for like HMV and that for Christmas, and I'm thinking I'm going to get Lord of the Rings. I think they've dropped like 40 quid now, haven't they?
Yeah, well, on Amazon it was like 45 quid for the for the box set, because I haven't watched Rings of Power, and I was kind of like, I do fancy watching Rings of Power, but I was like, God, it's been that long since I've watched the original movies that I would be kind of lost with the lore and everything.
Yeah.
So I thought maybe it's a good chance to like a good excuse to kind of go back and visit them, especially in 4K. So that's what I'm kind of hoping for anyway. But that's a good question. Cheers, Video Tasties, mate. Okay, so I'll just put some of these up.
I'll be back in 2 seconds, Andy. It's just my phone's
Yeah,
going to
no worries.
die, so I'll have to reconnect on my computer.
Of course, mate.
Back in 2.
Okay.
Cool, man.
We'll just quickly jump on. I'll leave you. Obviously, not. Right, so I suppose that takes us naturally on to what was your worst. So don't need to go mental and totally deconstruct whatever film that you decide to to put on the naughty list. But start off with yourself, Badger.
The worst film I saw.
It doesn't necessarily need to be a really bad film, but it can be, just something that you found personally disappointing.
Okay. Well, Alice isn't here, so I can't tease him and say the Batman. I'm hands down. I'm gonna say the film that I'd say disappointed me the most was Halloween Ends. I'm not the craziest of Halloween fans, but I did think it was a piss poor ending for this recent trilogy. Although I respect how different it was mad different, very original. But yeah, that disappointed me the most. However, the one that just felt like a full-blown punch to the gut was the Jeepers Creepers Reborn. I couldn't believe how bad it was.
I've seen your review for that one. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Yeah, cheers. I didn't enjoy making it. I made that with a ruptured spleen, my friend. That film was atrocious. As an avid fan of the first Jeepers Creepers, I think it's one of the best horror films of all time. One of my favorite overall films of all time. Seeing it get neglected like that was outstanding. I cannot believe how bad Jeepers Creepers went. I don't think there's anything Friday the 13th, Halloween, or any of those franchises. I don't think they ever hit as low as Jeepers Creepers Reborn. It was outstanding. So yeah, that was mine.
Yeah, the first Jeepers Creepers was awesome. I don't watch a lot of horror, but I did watch that when it first came out, and was proper like terrified and entertained at the same time. But I never checked out the rest. I did watch Did you do a video covering all three?
Yeah, about just over a year ago on my 30th birthday, I posted a 50-minute long analysis of the first three films.
I think that I watched that, so I feel like I've seen them.
Okay, fair. Well, that's proof of how passionate I am about the first one. I did talk about the second and third one, but the first one was the main one that I want to talk about. It's so important to me, and it was so important that I worked on this long-ass video for ages. I posted it on my 30th birthday. Busy as hell, man. And yeah, sadly, this ended up happening. Famous last words. I ended that video by saying, hopefully Jeepers Creepers Reborn will be better than Jeepers Creepers. Hopefully it will be better than Jeepers Creepers 3. Famous last words. Oh my God. Wow. Just wow.
What yourself, Paul?
I've got three, but I'll quick fire them. These are disappointing. These aren't worse. These are ones that sort of disappointed me. First one's Lightyear. I'm a big fan of the Toy Story franchise. I'm a big fan of Pixar. Lightyear just felt like paint by numbers movie. I didn't see the point in it. It felt like I know Pixar movies are geared for family, but I felt like that one felt really geared for kids, so maybe I wasn't the target audience for it. So I walked out of that a bit disappointed, because normally when I walk out of a Pixar film, at least I feel like I have a good time and I sort of get like adult jokes that they tell, and I didn't really get that with Lightyear. My second one, I'm a big gamer, grew up with the Sega Mega Drive, Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
Wow.
which is probably one of my worst video game adaptations ever. I don't see anything to do with the game in that film whatsoever. There was a certain scene in it where they crash a wedding, and I nearly walked out the cinema. I was like, what Sonic the Hedgehog game is this in? I don't remember it. I think what they should have done with the Sonic movies is what Nintendo are doing with the Super Mario movie, where they should have just gone full CGI animate. That Super Mario movie, that looks awesome. That's coming out next year. Sonic didn't work for me whatsoever. My third one, it disappointed me as well, was Black Phone.
Yes.
Yes.
I went into that hyped. I love Sinister. It's one of my favorite horror films of the last 10 years, whenever it come out. Black Phone just it bored me. I was bored watching it. I was like, I don't get it. Maybe I walked into it thinking it was going to be one film, and it flipped it on its head and was something else. Now, that's not the film's fault. That you could say that's my fault. But there was things that happened in that film where the rules weren't explained in the film as to why it's happening. So all this shit was happening in the film. I was like, why is all this shit happening? Because the film hasn't told me why this is happening. And I don't want to spoil it. If you know maybe what I'm talking about, if you've seen it, you might know. But I just walked out of that film. By the time I got home, I'd forgot about it. I was really disappointed with it.
It's so annoying because I think Ethan Hawke's character is really good. Like, if they just focused on a different aspect of him, maybe he's like the point leading up to that event happening and him kidnapping that particular child and whatever. Do you know what I mean? But I just think it was a shame because, like, aesthetically, Ethan Hawke in his performance is like so good and so creepy, but everything else around the film falls apart. Like, that was going to be my my pick for it's not necessarily the worst movie, but like you were saying, Paul, like you go in with certain expectations because of Sinister, and you're just a little bit underwhelmed by the whole. It didn't go hard enough for me. Like, if I'm being honest. Yeah.
I remember just looking at me mate as soon as the credits rolled and just went, just got up and walked off. Like, I'll try not to spoil it, but there was a load of supernatural elements that happened in the film that I didn't think were going to be in it. But these elements in the film were not explained in the film whatsoever as to why it's happening. You have to take it at face value. Oh, these kids can do these things, but it wasn't explained why they could do them. And so it didn't work for me.
Yeah, me and Ellis have sorry, go on.
I was just quickly going to say, I've not really heard much negative about Black Phone. Actually,
I feel like it's a little island with a few people on.
No, not till I haven't seen it. I do quite fancy it though, because other than listening to yourself and Ellis there, I'd only heard kind of good things about it. I didn't realise until I read someone's little review today that it was set in the 70s as well. I didn't realise it was a kind of period piece. No, I think I'll still watch it, but it's interesting to hear that he's kind of, and you guys are the horror guys, it's not really my
It's worth it for Ethan Hawke's performance, definitely, 100%.
Yeah, me and Ellis have spoken about it, and we pretty much agree in every area. I don't think it's bad at all. I think it's a passable film. It's just that, wow, they didn't do enough with it. It had so much potential. Loads of it wasn't explained. It was very thin. And Ellis said something that is so true, and it made me full-blown laugh. That Ethan Hawke's character is almost like a remake of Harry and Marv from Home Alone. Like, what happens? It's true. It's true. It just turned into like this weird, goofy kind of comedy almost at times. I was like, it's not bad though. I like it, but I was not in a rush to buy it on Blu-ray. That's for sure.
Cool. I think I'm just going to throw these up now because they're kind of relevant. So people are chiming in with like what they thought was crap, basically. So Mirakissa, Halloween Ends was awful. Jason is the worst killer I've seen in that film. Hard to find any terror in a guy who moves like a 90-year-old geriatric. He gets battered. Yeah, everyone he batters everyone he attacks. Is it?
He gets battered by everyone he attacks.
By everyone,
Who's Jason? Do you mean Michael Myers, or is Jason
Myers,
the boy? Or is Jason the boy character in the film? Is that boy character called Jason? I can't remember.
No. I think he's just mixed up the villains.
I know he's not a massive horror fan, so he's maybe still pissed from being in Dublin.
It makes sense. We all do it, dude. We all do it. We all make mistakes. It's so good.
Chris Kyle, Love and Thunder was pure gash.
That was one of the films where I thought I liked, and then the more I thought on it, I was like, nah, that's pretty shit.
I'm kind of like, I'm in the same camp
worse.
as you, Paul. Same camp as you, mate, with that one. I think I watched it and I gave it like 3.5 because I thought, oh, well, it was quite funny at times, even though some of the humor was quite like tiring and a bit like, they were trying too hard to be funny, whereas it seemed to come effortlessly in Ragnarok.
Yeah.
And I liked Taika Waititi's stuff. And then I watched it again on Disney Plus, and it annoyed me even more than the first time. So I totally know where you're coming from. Sorry, Ellis, were you going to add to that there?
Oh, sorry, yeah. Just with Love and Thunder, it is one of them where I think I initially gave it more of a pass because I was pretty disappointed with Multiverse of Madness. Like, I wasn't totally disappointed by it, but there's a few issues in that film that I do have. So I think going into Love and Thunder, it sort of just washed over me a little bit better. I didn't come out with as major grievance as what I did coming out of Multiverse of Madness, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, as the years gone on, and the more you think about that film, I've almost went to watch it again, but thought no,
Can't bother.
no, I'm not doing it. Not just to review it for the end of the year list. Do you know what I mean? It's not one I just want to revisit at all.
The Screaming Goats really got on my tits quite quick, even when I watched it. Like
They stole that joke. They stole that joke from the Grinch animated movie as well. That Screaming Goat. My missus pointed that out. She's like, "Have you ever seen the Grinch animated movie?" It's like, nah. She showed it to me, and there's a screaming goat in it. And I was like, they've stole that.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the worst thing ever made, but I think everybody was going into it thinking, I've not met anyone that doesn't like Ragnarok, so I think everyone thought they were getting like, Ragnarok 2.0, but it wasn't like that.
There was just the right balance in Ragnarok. Like there was a right balance of Taika and serious, whereas Love and Thunder just
they just doubled down on all the stupid slapstick stuff.
Yeah.
When I think it was already they were already like teetering on the edge of it becoming too stupid in Ragnarok, but like you say, they just got it just right and no more, and they just went over the cliff. I think with Love and Thunder, but here's some more hate for Halloween Ends. Halloween Ends was absolute dog meat. They nerfed Michael Myers. Man, guy was a chuck in a mask the whole film.
Yeah, it's such a weird film. Halloween Ends was. I don't know if I like it or not. It's one of them weird films. Like, I watched it twice, and I'm like, I've got through it, and there's bits in it I like, but is it a good film? Because I didn't really like the last one. I feel the same about Kills as well. It's like I can watch it start to finish, but am I watching a good film? Not really, but I don't know. It's weird. It was such a weird ending as well. It was dog meat. Fuck it, yeah, it was shit. I'm going through all the emotions with me.
I think there was a potential good film in there somewhere. I didn't hate the concept of, like, I thought with that film it was going to be like a passing of the torch thing, and I was getting on board with it. Like, I almost got on board with it, but then I feel like the whole time they've spent in that film is it's like, right, we're going to pass the torch on to this new character, and they just shit the bed with that. They take their own idea and nuke it in like the third act for nothing better.
I watched
the character's name's Corey. I had to look it up because it was doing me head in. Yeah, Corey. The concept they had for that film I liked, but they should have started that with the first one and thread it through the trilogy. Yeah, so it felt like two films, two storylines, and they were trying to juggle them both, but they couldn't get the balance for it. So it was like, oh shit, we've only got this much runtime left. Let's get the Michael Myers, Laurie Strode ending, and it was shit.
I've not seen it, but you're not selling it to me. But I only watched Halloween Kills like a few weeks before Ends came out, and I was like, I thought it was quite decent.
I
watched Badger's review of Halloween Ends again. I always find Badger's, like, I'm not just plugging you, mate, but I find the reviews quite entertaining, especially when they're shit, because I think you're quite eloquent at it.
It's one of those films where I'm watching it, like, what am I trying to critique? It's about a guy killing people. Like, why am I sitting here trying to pick it apart? It's so stupid.
The Badger's pretty decent though, because it does kind of give it. He doesn't just sit and go, "This is shit." He kind of like, he still finds the good and stuff, and like maybe I think you're good at that, mate. You kind of like still give them a bit of credit for what they maybe tried or how it might have worked, but then you but you
Thank
still
you.
hammer them for why it was shit though.
Thank you. I appreciate that. No, thank you. I stand by what I said in my video. I do believe it's going to get a fan base one day because
Yeah.
it's breathtakingly original. I don't care if you love it or hate it. I don't care. You cannot dispute this. It's very original, and I get
I agree.
why, and it will get a fan base one day, and rightfully so. Don't change the fact that I'm not getting on that. I got something else to watch, mate. I'm all good. I'm all good. Enjoy it for me is what I say, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he was saying thought Lightyear, following up from your comment, Paul, I'm assuming thought Lightyear was good, but Chad Evans, I'm assuming he means Chris Evans, should not have been Buzz Lightyear. Would have loved Tim Allen to have played him. I think that was quite a common complaint, wasn't it?
I get why they did it though, because it's not the toy. It's sort of
Yeah, it's supposed to be
differentiate them.
real Buzz Lightyear that the toy is inspired
Yeah.
by. It didn't bother me too much. That I think I quite enjoyed Lightyear. I watched it with my wee girl, and when I'm there with my wee girl, it's always difficult to give a film your full attention. She's still at that kind of age,
Yeah.
so maybe I can't be too critical of it. But I did think watching it that it had two different tones. It was quite a serious tone at the beginning was set up, and then it, like you say, it gets really kiddie, kind of in the middle, and then it tries to kind of come back around to like a more kind of like serious tone at the end. Yeah, it was all right. I found it okay, like entertaining enough, but yeah, it didn't really have the heart I felt, or it didn't capture the spirit of the original Toy Stories. But maybe that's because he wasn't a toy. It's a spin-off. You know, it's not really Toy Story, but.
I think we're at the age as well where we're very nostalgic for them films as well. A lot of us grew up watching them, so that always plays into part. Whereas this one just felt like it was all right. I was just a bit, like I say, it's not the worst. So it did disappoint me though.
Yeah.
I was looking forward to it.
I still haven't seen it yet, however, but I did really appreciate that Instagram story that you posted, Andy, with you and your daughter in the car about after you saw the film. I thought that was lovely, man.
I can't wait to take my kids to see. Obviously, my youngest is really, really young, but it's something I'm excited to get them into is movie watching, cinema going and stuff. But my enthusiasm for it probably took me there too early, and I paid the price for that on more than one occasion. Sonic 2 was an absolute failure. Lightyear wasn't much better, so I'm going to wait, I think, until they can sit. They've got more of an attention span, basically. But John, I think I got to quickly.
Sorry, I'm just saying, I got to quickly go to the bathroom. All of this talk about Halloween Ends has made me need the bathroom. I can't figure out why. I'll be back in a bit, all right? It won't be long.
Just show you're muted. John, I think it's just for yourself we've got to hear from with regards to what your kind of most disappointing was. I'm going to put you on full screen here, John, give you the stage because I'm going to get a drink as well.
Okay, oh, right. Wow. Well, actually, just to touch on Black Room, I actually watched it today after hearing good things about it. I didn't know it had anything to do with Stephen King's son. So going into it, I kind of knew it might have a strange element in the story. And also, I did know about the fact there was a supernatural element to it. So I'm glad I knew that, because if I didn't know that when I went into it, I would have been like everyone else thinking, what's going on here? How can it be so quickly that these people have these powers? Now, I think that should have been, I'd like you talking about this, Alice. I think it should be better explained at the start of the movie to say it is a little bit touched on, but not enough for me. They seem to rush into the fact that this can just happen. I think they should have built it up a bit more, and then it could have been a bit more believable when it got, because the movie is a good movie, but it kind of struggles with its identity after that. I think they should have talked about that a bit more, got that maybe 10 minutes, they could have focused on that, then they could have moved on with the rest of the story. I do agree that the killer is fantastic. Killer, I do get the Home Alone things as well. I think that the 70s look was great. I thought that the fact that it's from 1978, it really looked like it was from 1978. That did it for me. So I thought the movie was probably better for me because I went in knowing a little bit about it, and I didn't sort of struggle with it that much. I did think it could have been 15 minutes shorter. I think it's got a pace issue. in the middle of the movie, you kind of zone out a touch. But if you take that away, I think it's definitely one you could watch a second time and be more enjoyed by it. If you went into it now, watching it again, knowing it's got that supernatural element, which doesn't really get explained, you might be more. Because I was quite blown away by it actually, and it really has a really good throwback feel to it. It did feel like a movie that was made in the 80s about the 70s, rather than a movie that was made today about the 70s, if that comes across right. But the movie that's my worst movie of the year is a movie that some people had a problem with it because it didn't follow the rules of the video game. Now, I'd never seen the video game, never played in it, so I had no preconceptions of what it could be. So I just went in to think, oh, it's a good movie, and I'll probably enjoy it because it's got everything about it. It should be a good movie. But when we watched it, me and Deborah, and we looked at each other and just said, that was just sort of all kinds of just whatever. It was Uncharted. I just thought, what on earth just seen? And I thought, I really should be. I've got no thing about the fact that the people at the right age, the right characters. I don't have any knowledge about it, so I shouldn't have been offended. I wasn't really offended, but I was more kind of just left to think, well, it just wasn't a good movie, sadly. And it had elements, but there was nothing I can say about it. Everything seemed to be just off the mark with us. It just didn't play right.
It's got the worst attempt at a Scottish accent in living memory as well from that guy, the henchman guy. Do you know the one I'm talking about, John?
I do, yes. He's awful.
He comes across.
I knew when I was watching it, I knew anybody who's Scottish will be quite annoyed by this because it was nothing like a Scottish accent.
My brother and I watched it recently. He hadn't seen it before. We watched it in the house and we were totally wetting ourselves at how bad it was. It was like, he comes across Tom Holland near the beginning and he's like, what he says? He says it twice. He repeats the line a second time, even quicker as well. But it's like, he's like, you shouldn't have come here, laddie. You're going to get the Scottish welcome or something like that. So much so that like Lemmy, the Scottish comedian, he even did like a video on it where he just tore it apart. He was giving the guy a total hard time. It's totally ridiculous.
You know what it is for me about Uncharted, right? And it was like the initial problem, I think, right at the beginning of the film. I think it starts with the casting. The casting's just like not for me whatsoever. Like Tom Holland, I thought, chuck Nathan Fillion a bone and just let him have that one little, even if it was just going to be the one movie, just chuck him in there. Let him have that. I thought that little short film he did on YouTube, I don't know who it's by, but it's brilliant. It's unreal. And he nails it. And Tom Holland, I love him a bit, and I think he's a phenomenal actor. But for me, I think that was just an easy move for Sony to pick. Is Uncharted Sony? Is it?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the first movie, I think, of their Sony's PlayStation Studios.
Right.
There's obviously going to be more. I don't know.
Mark Wahlberg would have been a better choice, in my opinion, and I think he was rumored for that a few years back.
Yeah, I think I watched I have it on 4K because I'm a weirdo. But I like the games, and I think I'll admit that it's not a particularly good film, but I don't know. I'm a bit of a sucker for kind of Indiana Jones rip-offs, kind of big shiny digital looking action films. So when I seen it going for £12, I was like, right, I'll have that just to see what it kind of looks like again. And it's one of those films you can put on the background. You don't have to really pay much attention, but you can kind of marvel at the effects and the kind of set pieces. So when I watched it again, there's a feature on it where Mark Wahlberg talks about that, and that he originally was on board. He'd been on board for 5 years to play Nate, and then it looked like it wasn't going to happen at all. And then they got in touch, and he was like, "All right, okay, was this going ahead? So you want me to play Nate?" And they were like, "No, we've kind of changed our mind on that. Actually, we've got Tom Holland that is now the post. Is now the kind of the hot tatty in Hollywood. So we're going to get him to play it and play." But it seems to me that Mark Wahlberg, I can't be asked. I don't really like Mark Wahlberg, to be honest. I just find him, he's one of those guys that he's almost a franchise into himself, isn't he? He just kind of plays himself. So if you like him, you're going to like everything he does. If you don't, you're going to struggle with everything he does. I'm probably in the kind of latter camp. But yeah, I thought it was all right. I know what you're saying, John, why it was disappointing. But not the worst for me. I think I'm just going to bring this comment up because it mirrors my own feelings. So when it comes to me, so we've got Andy from Forgotten World of Movies is saying Fantastic Beasts 3. I think all those films are shite, to be honest. Just don't do anything for me, the Fantastic Beasts films. So I wouldn't even go near the one. But more so Dominion. So I'm assuming he means
Jurassic World.
Jurassic World Dominion. Yeah, that was just shite. It was like, it's entertaining. It's nice looking 4K. I bought it because I wanted to have the full collection in 4K, and I was just hoping that it was going to be good. So it was like a blind buy. But yeah, it was just. I found the nostalgic elements, you know, like the whole bringing the old cast back. As much as that's becoming a bit of a tired fad these days, and like all the studios are just going through that motion, isn't it? They think nostalgia sells, it puts bums on seats. Let's just do that with every franchise we have.
Yeah.
But Jurassic Park for me, and certainly probably for you guys, was one that I wanted to see the original cast coming back. Certainly being a child of the '90s and stuff.
Yeah.
And to be honest, whenever they were on the screen, that's when I was most captivated. Like I wanted to know what was happening with their storylines, whenever it was back to Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard, I was just falling asleep. I was just I think he's so like he doesn't really offer any Chris Pratt's character. I don't know. He's just like the kind of generic action dude in the movie. And he just doesn't do it for me. Whereas I think the other characters like Alan Grant, Jeff Goldblum's character, they're a bit more nuanced, a bit more quirky, and a bit more fun to watch. Certainly, seeing them portray those characters again, nearly 30 years down the line. So I thought that was okay. The whole extended version, that whole bit, the 10 minutes, like the film's boring enough as it is without 10 minutes of like looking at dinosaurs. I didn't get that at the beginning. Like I remember that got released on Sky. Going, I'll wait till you see the new Jurassic Park film, and it was just like dinosaurs cutting about, like shitting and eating and stuff. And I was like, what is this? This looks like fucking like a trailer for the next David Attenborough show or something. It was like this.
That's what I was thinking.
And it was like, and then they brought out the Blu-ray. Like, oh, you're going to get to see dinosaurs shit and eat at the beginning, and that's going to make it even better than the lackluster theatrical cut. And it was like, oh no, that's even more boring. So yeah, that's my agree with a nice 4K to look at if you want to stick it on and enjoy. Like the best scene in it, I think, is the whole motorbike chase through the. I can't remember where that is.
Which should not work whatsoever in that film.
It does,
but it's the best part in it.
I think John, you and I were talking about it, and like you could slap that in any Mission Impossible film, you'd be like, yeah, that's pretty good. But it was like
villain girl in that.
Like, has it got mixed up in the editing room somewhere? I don't know.
I enjoyed Dominion more than the last one. I thought Fallen Kingdom was a snore fest. I remember walking out that film at the cinema being like, that was boring. The thing is with these Jurassic Park films, once you take the park element out, that it's a theme park that goes haywire, then they're just generic monster movies. I like the idea that it's a theme park that doesn't work, and like that's why I like Jurassic World, the first one out of the three, because it's paint by paint the first movie again, but I enjoy it for what it is because it's the theme park and it's people in there and the dinosaurs get out. You take that element out, it's just like watching a generic monster movie.
And I think I actually preferred Fallen Kingdom to Dominion. Okay. I like them in they get worse in order to release. I think Jurassic World's good. It's kind of like yourself, Paul. I enjoy the theme park element, the throwback to the original Jurassic Park. I like the first half of Fallen Kingdom when it's a bit like the Lost World. They're there and it's like, right, we're still on this island and they're all contained. We're in the dinosaurs' backyard. We're trespassing here, and that's the danger element. But then once they kind of come into our world,
it's like the haunted house movie.
Too fake, too like I know we're talking about dinosaurs, right? So it's fake anyway. But the idea of them running about the street and stuff, it just becomes too much for the imagination. I think personally that's what kind of lost me. So that was my kind of biggest disappointment, certainly. But moving on, Chris Kyle Morbius was terrible too. Matt Smith's performance kept it interesting, but it totally shat the bed and proved that Sony cannot be trusted to make Spider-Verse movies. Genuinely fearful for Craven.
Was that this year? What is this year?
What's that?
Was Morbius this year?
I think it was very early, wasn't it? Like January.
Right.
I've still not seen it. I don't want to watch it.
I'll defend it a little bit. It's not as bad as people make it out to be. It became a social media thing, didn't it? To kind of like slag out and the whole Morbid
Yeah.
thing. Like,
Andy, would you put it on the would you put it on the same level as Venom? Is it like just turn your brain off and it's good, goofy fun? Like, would you say that's what Morbius is like?
yeah, I would say so. And I would say if you've seen both, like I think the first Venom isn't great, but it's like you say, turn your brain off, have fun, enjoy Tom Hardy's kind of like Jekyll and Hyde performance. But Let There Be Carnage is a car crash. It's like it just doesn't start. It's crap, really, really bad. And then I would say Morbius is somewhere in between.
Yeah. I kind of prefer the second one just a little bit more to the first Venom myself. But again, that's just to turn my brain off and have a laugh. It's not a good film, really. Just have a laugh.
Yeah, I just found all the banter between Venom and I forgot his name. What's his actual name? Eddie Brock. To a bit tried and not as imaginative and not as fun as it was in the.
I don't think Tom Holland's a good comedic actor at all. I think he's miscast in that role. What did I say? Yeah. Tom Hardy, sorry. Yeah, I don't think he's a good comedic actor. I love him in his serious roles. I think his comedy timing's not that good. Especially in that film, especially in Venom. I love Venom as well. I grew up with that character. Them films didn't work for me at all. I was a bit gutted.
Pete from Playtendo guy saying,
I'll just turn the light on me when I just turned it off. You believe it? I'm sitting here in the pitch black. The whole office is in pitch black.
I think the Debs is trying to give you a sign, John.
Kind of look like the Grim Reaper from Bill and Ted 2 there, man.
You sunk my battleship.
You beat, I was saying it. You beat me. I was saying that.
I'm going to nip to the toilet now, and then I'll be back. Okay, I may as well do it one go.
Yeah, no worries, mate. No worries. Pete from Pretender guy, Love and Thunder was a struggle, and Fantastic Beasts 3 was a cure for insomnia. On
Black Friday, I bought every Harry Potter film, including the Fantastic Beasts, on 4K because they were all on sale. I do like the Harry Potter films. I grew up on them and the books. Yeah. I've never seen any of the Fantastic Beasts films, any of them. For some reason, I just never felt to watch them because they were sort of like a spin-off. And I've heard the first two are all right, but this third one's a bit crap. But I did buy it, so I have got it. But I haven't got round to watching them yet.
Have they released 3 so far, or is it only 2?
It's 3 the one where
the third one's come out this year.
Oh, right. The third one come out this year.
I think so. Yeah. Did it?
I don't know.
It must just be die-hard Harry Potter fans that are keeping it afloat.
I don't think they're making another one. I think it ends where there could be a 4th one, but I think they've scrapped. I think it didn't make enough business.
Wow.
It didn't help that Johnny Depp was like getting into the ball, wasn't it? And then they had to recast him as Mads Mikkelsen and whatnot. Pete's also saying Uncharted. I know Pete's a bit of a gamer. Uncharted was a struggle. Casting was all over the place.
Oh, J.K. Simmons, good shout.
That's a good solid with J.K. Simmons. Yeah.
I haven't seen the film. I haven't played the first Uncharted game, but I played all the others. I didn't think much. I just liked them and thought they were a good laugh.
I mean, Uncharted is like Resident Evil. It's a game that you can really get immersed in, and it just doesn't transfer to film very good because you're not in control of it. You're not walking through the jungle as the character. You're just watching it.
There's like something. I think the whole thing with Uncharted is, for me, as someone who's definitely a gamer and definitely an action genre movie fan, is that when you play a game like Uncharted, you get to be the movie star. You get to
that's it. Of course, yeah.
And that's what's fun about it, because you're playing a game and you're saying to yourself as you're playing it, oh God, this is just like a movie. So, and it's amazing that I can interact in the middle of like a Mission Impossible-esque action. I'm controlling that character. I feel like I'm doing the action.
Whereas, I suppose Indiana Jones is a good Uncharted movie though, so they can do it. It's possible to make that sort of movie. This one wasn't a good attempt at it.
Yeah. Because I think it's clear that Uncharted, the games, are basically just Indiana Jones. Yeah. So it's kind of like, the movie inspiration from the Uncharted games is Indiana Jones. So
Yeah.
if you then try to make an Uncharted film, really you're just trying to remake Indiana Jones, which doesn't really work the same, does it? Because it's missing it's missing that element of the fact that you, the player, is playing it. That's what makes it work. But yeah, maybe it'll be better than Indiana Jones 5. Better enough. God, we'll get around to that shortly. But and I saw Tom Holland brought his Spidey powers across when he's just kneeling on the red car bonnet while FIFA.
Yeah.
That's a good point, actually. That was ridiculous.
I'm looking forward to seeing Tom Holland if he can give me something that isn't that Peter Parker Spider-Man. If he can adapt into a different role, I'm looking forward to seeing if he can do that.
Have you seen Cherry?
No. Is he good in that?
Well, watch Cherry.
Yeah.
It's a Russo brothers as well, isn't it, Andy?
What's that?
The Russo brothers, Cherry.
Is it? I can't tell.
I'm sure it is.
It's probably the most. I would say it's the one that strays the furthest from what they've done.
Right. Cool.
Yeah, I thought Cherry was pretty good. It's quite hard hitting.
I liked him in the Netflix film. I can't remember what it was called now. It was it had Robert Pattinson in it. It was really
exactly
good.
The one that was good as well. Yeah.
The Devil, is it The Devil Inside or something?
Something like that. Yeah.
I can't remember what it was called. He was really good in it though.
That was a good movie. Yeah, I can't really remember much about it now, but I remember like enjoying it. Yeah, when I watched it. But I think that's us covered what was bad in 2022. I'm keen to get, before I move on, I was going to do TV shows next, but I know that a lot of people that watch this channel are into physical media, so I'm going to jump into that next. But just before we do that, I'm going to just quickly do this as kind of quick as we can, just as a kind of quick fire thing. What were your kind of hidden gems of the year? What was your biggest surprise? Something that's kind of indie, a bit off the track that you could recommend that you think people might not have seen? I'll put that to Ellis.
For me, it was Barbarian.
Oh, you.
It's all right.
It's on Disney Plus.
Back on it, Paul. It's fine. Yeah, man. Barbarian, 100%. So me and Georgia, my partner, we both watched this and we both loved it. For me, it was like I hadn't seen a trailer or anything. I just seen the word of mouth on it, and I was like, right, I've got to go and see it. I've seen the poster. The poster intrigues me. I'm just going to go in blind. And I think if I can give you any advice, it is to go in absolutely blind on the film. It's just been released on Disney Plus now, so you've got a chance to watch it now. But I thought it was amazing, man. Not amazing, but it just sort of took me by surprise of how much I enjoyed it. For me, like the performances are like really spectacular, and I really like seeing Justin Long in a horror film again. It was just great, and I think his character is pretty good as well. I won't spoil anything, but I think the way his character is sort of written and how it sort of develops through the movies, pretty good, to be fair. Me and Badger have spoke about this one quite recently, and for me, like this movie reminds me of like a film.
Guys, we're back in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It come out from like 2000 to 2005, like a movie that me and Badger both bonded over is Creep. I think from when was that, Badger? 2004, 2003, around that time. It's starring Sean Harris, unbelievable actor, one of the best underrated actors going. But yeah, it gave me that sort of vibe. Like, have you seen it, Andy or John?
I've not seen it. No. I know it's on Disney Plus though, so it is one I've added to my watch list.
I'd really recommend it because I know, Andy, you're trying to like delve into more horror type movies and stuff.
Taking a conscious effort,
yeah, 100%. And like the first half an hour of Barbarian to me is just like top tier stuff. Like
remarkable.
Yeah, it's so good. And I know, Badger, like me and you, like sort of disagree, like as the sort of movie goes on a little bit.
Not really. I still like it a lot. I like it a lot.
I don't even want to get into it because I'll end up spoiling the film. So I don't want to get into it too far. But like, there's a couple of logic issues that I have with the film, but it's not enough to distract. Like, I gave it a 4.5 stars on Letterboxd. It's going to be one of my like top 10 films of the year, possibly top 5.
Wow.
It was just a lovely surprise, like to watch a horror and be genuinely like sort of afraid a little bit, and it was propelled by the performances. I thought the performances were excellent.
It was. Ellis, we don't disagree on that film as much as you think, because number one, Barbarian is somewhere in my top 10, so I do like it enough. And number two, they better not dick us over. We better get that Blu-ray release, man.
I'm hoping so. Like, I don't know what that's all about, to be honest. Who's the film with? Was it with Fox? Was it in like that weird transition period? I don't know, but why are they not releasing that on as a blood? And the same with Prey. Like that, them two films not getting released as 4K releases, especially Prey, in fairness, because the Predator franchise has had like a decent like sort of release pattern as far as physical releases go. So why they wouldn't? I don't know.
But dude, if they can fuck us over in Predator, they can do the same for Barbarian.
Yeah, I know.
Dude, Barbarian. I might not be an avid fan of it. I don't think it's a great film. I just happen to really like it.
Yeah.
That being said, that's going to be a 4K Blu-ray treatment from me, mate. I don't want that normal Blu-ray. I want that 4K. That film would look exquisite on 4K, man. I want that. It's a good film, man.
Very good. That's my hidden gem, though. Sorry, Paul.
No, that's fine. I've got another one.
Cool. I'll go to yourself, John, and give Paul a chance to like regroup after having that stolen from him.
I hope I'm not going to pick Paul's then if Paul's got the next one. Shopping. Well, for me, it's going to be Pearl.
Oh no! Just dead quick. I haven't seen that. Pearl is related to X, and I haven't seen X.
I've not seen either of them as well. I'm just
me neither. Me neither. But I haven't seen either, but I've heard great things. So please sell me on it, man, because I'm intrigued.
So who's seen Pearl here? Anybody?
Yeah.
No, I've not seen it.
Yeah. Well, without going into spoilers, X was. Have you seen X, Badger?
No, right. Badger and I only seen it. We haven't seen it either.
But don't worry about it. Seems to be like it looks like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. The flavor of it's not like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but it looks like it. Mm-hmm. And for some reason, they went and done this. Now, if I was going to say this is like a prequel to X, now if you're going to watch them, I wouldn't go for watching Pearl first and then X. I would go for X and then go to Pearl.
Yeah, 100%.
Which is strange because you think, oh, I'm going to watch the prequel first, but you need to watch X before you watch Pearl, I feel, which is odd.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I just think that Mia Goth, who's in X, she plays a different character. She plays a younger version of a character from X. Mm-hmm. And her performance in that is like a performance I've never seen before. The whole, when she's at the dining table and she does that sort of monologue for about 20 minutes. John. Honestly, you're watching it and you're thinking, she can act. There's actors, and this is this next level. And the movie is a different tone to X, but it's. I'm going to put it like on the same level as X. X is more the horror, and Pearl is more like I don't even have to describe it. It's kind of more. It's a backstory, obviously, but it's kind of like, I don't know. It's for me. It's X with 10 times better acting, even though it's in the same style, kind of. Mm-hmm. But for me, I think that it's set in the same setting as well, which is great. And I just think that it's a unique way of doing this franchise, doing the middle one, a bit like Star Wars. They've done the X first, which is the middle one. Then they go back to the first one. Then they're going to do the end one. Maxine is going to be the end of that. That follows on from X. But I think it's going to be, for me, if they do it right, I think it'll be one of the best horror franchises of modern times, if I'm honest.
Nice.
I think having that quality of both films come out in the same year is amazing. Like,
I don't know how they did it. I believe
they were shot back to back.
Really, it
I
wouldn't
think
surprise
so.
me.
Yeah, I think so.
And for how different they both look as well, that's amazing. Like that is amazing. Like the music in Pearl, that was the first thing I noticed when it first, like that introduction, the first 10 minutes of Pearl, where she's just in the farm, she's going about her business, and the title cards are coming up. The music, the sweeping, like classical music, awesome. It's brilliant.
And for me, with no spoilers, the very ending of the film is just I couldn't believe that they did it. Well, the ending is great, but I couldn't believe that they finished on that particular image in a way. And if that's what you don't understand, it's just, I don't know, it's incredible. It's I think it's, now I've seen is it The House of the Devil, which is one of his earlier films, Ty West's, which is great, and it really looks like a movie from 1985, even though it's not.
When did that come out, John? House of the Devil?
About 2000 and I'm going to say 2010 or 11 or 9, somewhere around about that area. It's a great film. It's not as good. It's not as good as these ones now, but I think it's showing that he's coming on leaps and bounds with his filmmaking. And like you're right, Alice, for someone to be able to make them two films basically back to back and put them out more or less at the same time, I was utterly confused when they came out. I thought, what's all this about? X is out, but there's Pearl's out. Of course, it's on A24, so we can't really get to see them that easily, which is annoying. But I'm interested to see when they're going to put Maxine out. Is Maxine going to be quick? Because it's not made yet, which I'm pleased about in a way, because if we got the whole 3 out in the space of like 1 year, it would have been a bit too much, I think. But I'm really impressed by what he's done with this. And he's not really a director who's done many brilliant things, but he's done something brilliant with this. He could have done a modern day classic trilogy.
Yeah,
for me.
Totally.
What do you think the kind of decision making was behind that with regards making two? It's clearly a 3-parter. They made the two and then not made. Do you think it's a case of like do the middle one, the prequel, hope it gets a bit of a following, and then it will boost box office for the final part? Or do you think it's maybe just been scheduling?
It could be, because if you think about it, X came out and they're making Pearl at the same time. We're going to make it anyway. So they could have, if they didn't get any hits with these two films, they could have literally stopped there, I suppose. They didn't need to go on any further. But that might be one of the things that stopped them, or could have stopped them doing Maxine. But it's had such big hits with them, they're definitely going to make Maxine now. Well, so it's just, I would love to know if there's any interviews with Ty West to say, why did you do it this way?
Yeah.
I'm quite fascinated by it, actually.
Because both films are sort of set in very, very, like, not to spoil it, but similar locations. They do branch out to other areas, but I think it would have been quite cheap to make just by doing it back to back. I think the intentions for it was I don't think he ever had an intention of making it a trilogy of films. I think when they were making X, from like some of the behind the scenes footage I've seen on the Pearl Blu-ray I've got, there's like an interview with Mia Goth, and she's like, it was just like to do a bit of diving into her character in X, her dual character that she obviously plays Pearl as well. It was just to get more of a backstory with that, but I think they realized when they were going into the backstory, like, hang on a minute, there's a full film here. And I think just it was an easy probably pitch to A24. Look, we've got these two films. They're both primarily set on a farm. Can we have some money, please? And I don't know. They're both amazing. They both are proper gems of the year, I think. 100%.
Yeah. Definitely need to see them then. I'll definitely add them to. I fancied X, and I didn't actually realise until recently that Pearl was connected. But X seemed to get a lot more praise, or a lot more like kind of attention on social media, and Pearl seems to be kind of a bit more of a slow burn, kind of in the back.
I think that's because it took us ages to get it for the UK to see it.
Yeah.
I think X was the more horror. The horror movie is X, or the more gore is in X. But
Pearl is like X has got like that sort of Texas Chainsaw vibe to it, like Grindhouse. And then you've got
Yeah.
Pearl, that's like a character study, but it feels like sort of Little House on the Prairie, that sort of vibe. And then the third one, Maxine, is supposed to be like an 80s in the porn industry in the 80s. So they're three
Yeah.
tonally different films, but will all fit together. So yeah, I'm
Sounds
looking forward to seeing them.
really interesting. Is who we still waiting to hear from? Is it Badger? Have you
Badger.
delivered your hidden gem?
But yeah, so my hidden gem is Top Gun Maverick. No one's heard of that before. Yeah, the film that that I think is a mad hidden gem is a Netflix film. It's called Night Ride. Now, if I had a bigger following on YouTube, I would have done like a crazy in-depth review of it and would have encouraged a huge audience to see it. Because even though it's on Netflix and it was advertised all over Netflix, for some reason, hardly anyone has taken the time to review it or rate it on IMDb. Like only 500, 600 people have rated it. And all of the ratings are kind of low. And I'm quite shocked by it because it's genuinely impressive, very intelligent filmmaking. That sounds pretentious, but it's, what can I say? It's true. It's yet again another film, which is another film like Boiling Point. The whole film is done in one take. But what makes this one impressive is that it's not like Boiling Point where it's shot entirely in a restaurant. With this one, Night Ride, it's about a guy in a car, pretty much. He's driving around a city in Ireland, and he wants to do one final drug deal before he retires from it. But the deal goes wrong. And the camera follows him throughout the whole city at nighttime. So the camera will follow him, walk to the car. The camera will gently place on top of his car, and then he's driving around whilst the camera is constantly following him. They had to rehearse it like crazy. You've got scenes where people are chasing him in the car. So they obviously behind the scenes, they're waiting at one point in the city to start following him and shit. It's crazy. It's mad improv. And the whole thing, it's just constantly following him throughout the whole city. And it's not a perfect film. I thought there were some inconsistencies with the quality, with the plot, and sometimes with the way the camera is placed on the car or in the car with him. It's just can be a bit nauseating at times. But it is very clever filmmaking, how it's an hour and a half of just that, of just him trying to sort out a drug deal on the phone, in the car, driving around, trying to figure out what's going on.
Sounds a little bit like the Tom Hardy one.
Lock.
Yeah, that's a
great film.
Yeah.
Lock is a fantastic film, yeah, but this one's different because it's a drug bust, a drug deal sort of thing, and it's all set. It's all literally done in one shot, and the camera moves all over the place. It's great. There's even a fantastic part halfway through the film where the police pull him over, and it's not acting; it's actually real life police who pull him over, and they see the camera and they say to him, "Are you working tonight?" But he had to improvise and still not and pretend to be the drug dealer and go, yeah, just a bit busy working it. Exactly. The actual, it's incredible improv. It's incredible improv. He literally got pulled over by the fucking police, and the director must have been shitting his pants. The director who was watching the camera from far away must have been shitting himself. Like, wow, we've just been shooting for about an hour and 10 minutes or something, and now the police are about to fuck it up. As a result, they censored out the police officer's face because they weren't allowed to do it, to actually show the face. But yeah, he even had to whip out his ID and show it to them. It's a scene in the film. But in real life, they're real police. And it's astonishing stuff. And the fact that this was plastered all over, like millions of people have Netflix. And the fact that was like the first thing that was advertised to people. But no one took the time to check it out. And if they did, they didn't give it any credit. They didn't mention it on IMDb. It's hardly had any praise at all. I'm like, what? It's fucking solid, man. No one has. It's crazy. So I was too busy at the time and I couldn't review it just after I saw it a while back. But yeah, it's a remarkable film. There is, I'll say it dead quick as well, there's some debate as to whether or not it came out this year or last year, but that's just because it had one screening or something like that last year in 2021. Yeah. It was predominantly released in 2022, so it still does count as a 2022 film. But yeah, it's not remarkable or anything like that. I don't think it's a masterpiece, but it's solid filmmaking and it's very clever, and it must have been a goddamn nightmare to pull it off. I cannot believe after all of that hard work they didn't get the credit they deserved, because that's astonishing filmmaking, man. That really is crazy.
One to check out then. Night Ride on Netflix.
Yeah.
Paul, have you readjusted?
Yeah, I've got one. Yeah, mine's another Netflix film which really come out of nowhere. I don't remember seeing any advertising for it before it come out, and it was All Quiet on the Western Front.
Oh, I've not seen that yet.
Netflix just sort of just dropped on there, and I remember everyone like on film Twitter was just blowing it up, saying, "Well, this film is remarkable." I remember watching it early one morning. I watched it like 8 o'clock in the morning, which probably wasn't the best time to watch it because I was like half asleep. And it's set in World War One from three lads from the German side to three lads, German army, which we don't normally see. We normally see it from the American side. And they think they're being patriotic and doing the thing for the country. And this film just had me on the seat, like on the edge of my seat, start to finish. And I was seeing stuff I didn't think I'd ever see on film. There was stuff in this film that was rivaling Spielberg's Saving Private Ryan for me. And people probably say not a chance. And it really was. There was some scenes in this film was like, this is almost as good, or if not as good, as Spielberg's Saving Private Ryan. It was shot beautifully. It was horrific. There was no sort of hoo-ah to this film. It was just depressing, but it's a film that you have to watch. It's one of the films you need to experience. I would probably never, it's a film I give 5 stars to, but I'd probably never watch it again. It was, by the end of it, I was so deflated, and I was like, what a horrific thing I've just watched, but what a horrific thing that these lads went through in this story. It was heartbreaking. I was in bits by the end.
It's a
I've been
remake.
watching it, but I'm being in the mindset for it.
Yeah,
It's a remake, isn't it? Of a
yeah.
It was very critically acclaimed as well. My understanding is.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's really just come out. I don't remember any seeing adverts for it or anything. It just dropped on Netflix. I remember just everyone then was just buzzing about it, saying you need to check this film out.
It's funny that have you noticed? Maybe it's maybe it's just me, but I tend to find that, like, see if Netflix hard sell a movie, it's probably shit. But see if they, like, Red Notice, Day Shift. I've not actually seen Day Shift, but I've heard it's not that good. All the ones that have got bigger budgets that they kind of like, they really push. You get the early like trailers for them and all that, and then they'll just drop something like you say, like All's Quiet on the Western Front, no fanfare at all, and quickly people are like, this is amazing. Why was this getting no? Why is this not?
Why is this not on the cinema? That's what I was thinking.
Another cracking, off on a bit of a tangent here, but another cracking Netflix war film that's a bit of a hidden gem is The Siege of Jadotville. You seen that with what's his face? Dorian Gray from 50 Shades of Grey, the Irish actor.
Don't know.
Jamie Dornan. It's a true life story about Australian troops that went to Vietnam. Sorry, Irish troops that went to Vietnam. They'd never seen any combat before. That was the reason they were sent. It was supposed to be like a kind of, an easy detail for them. But they just went there at a time when there was a lot of things bubbling politically, and the locals had basically had enough of Allied troops being there, and decided, unfortunately for them, to kind of like have a bit of a revolution whilst they were in camp. And so they were sent there, kind of like, it's cool. This is just 6 months of just like, guard duty and that. You're not going to have to do anything. And then before they knew it, they were like up to their tits in it, like proper hard fighting. But it's a true story, but it's really, really good. It's another one that like had no trailers, no nothing. Just like, here's a little film we put together for you, and it's like really, really good.
Nice.
If you like action, go and check that one out.
Did you just say the guy from 50 Shades of Grey was in it? Is that what you just said?
Yeah, Jamie Dornan. I couldn't get his name initially, but Jamie Dornan's like the main character in it.
So I haven't seen 50 Shades of Grey, but no joke, I actually could have went to the premiere. No joke. At the time when the film was premiering, the company who helped fuel some of the sex toys, I was working for them. A place, I'm not kidding. I used to work at a sex toy warehouse called Love Honey, and because they helped supply tons of equipment to them. So because I was working with them at the time, I had the option to go and see 50 Shades of Grey at a premiere. And I just said to them, like, no, like, number one, I got to be up early tomorrow. I'm not going to stay up all night. I'm not going to stay up all night watching the film that I'm assuming is going to be crap. I'm not going to watch this woman. I'm not going to watch this lady get drilled with all my boys around me. I'm sorry. It's just, I'm all good, mate. I'm all good. I got other things to do, man. So I didn't bother.
You could have got a credit as like a product genius, mate.
Badger Phipps. No, I'm all good.
Props assistant.
Dude, come on, man.
Cool. Just I was going to throw some comments up here, I think, that are to do with hidden gems. Just a quick one from Campfire. I went to see Creep, enjoyed it. Need to rewatch it. It was also an old one you guys were talking about. Give me some kudos for it.
Oh, wow.
Zephyr, hidden gem from 2022. The outfit, Mark Rylance in the lead, gangster movie of sorts, definitely recommended. I've seen that again released on 4K out of nowhere, and I've heard nothing but good things about it, but not actually seen it. You can't really go wrong with Mark Rylance. Always gives a good performance and tends to choose his projects well, I think. What are you guys hyped about seeing in 2023? Quantumania, Super Mario, Flash, Barbie. We'll probably come to that later on, but if anyone's got any burning desires to answer that now, they can.
Well, hang on. We'll hang on for the second.
Yeah, hang on for it, man.
My company also supplied the sex toys for Barbie as well, so I'm famous now.
Oh, nice.
I'm sorry. I am actually looking forward to Barbie. That looks hilarious. I can't wait for that. It's gonna be banging.
What sort of film is it? Like,
I know.
I don't get it yet. I don't understand it.
I'm thinking there's no way it's just cheap throwaway like the toys themselves. If Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling are involved, like they must have seen something in it. Money, to think that because those actors are at the peak of their powers just now, so they're not going to like jump on board something that's just critically totally shit, I would imagine.
Yeah,
so there must be an angle that we're not seeing, that it's going to be quite clever or something.
A lot of people have said to me the director, what everyone's sort of excited for, that Greta something, I forgot her name.
Yeah, she did
like Little Women and stuff.
Yeah, the bird as well, or Little Bird or something. Right,
All right, okay. I've not seen. That's the one with Sus.
Lady Bird, that was it.
Yeah. Lady Bird got a lot of praise. I didn't see it though.
Yeah.
Lockdown stashed in the house.
Wagwan.
Glad you said that, mate. I haven't a clue how to pronounce that. Looking good, fellas. Hope you're doing well. Right, okay. So naturally we're behind schedule, but we'll see what we can do. We'll try and speed things up a bit. We'll jump onto. I was going to TV shows, but we'll jump forward a little bit. So, kind of quickly, if you've got it to hand, I'll put this one to Mondo because I think John, you're probably the biggest physical media man on the stream. So, what would you say? What's your kind of best disc 2022, mate? Yourself, John?
It's for picture quality. It's got to be Top Gun. For the Maverick. For the picture quality, it's just unreal. Although in Pulp Fiction last night, that was up there as well. I can't believe how good that one was, actually. I mean, I've heard loads of good things about Reservoir Dogs, which I haven't got yet. But Pulp Fiction really actually did blow us away with some of the scenes when they're out in the when it's like daylight and they're just walking around in the lovely sunshine and all that. It's just so good. And you think, because you hear bad things about Inglourious Bastards, and you think, oh God, are they going to do this with all the Tarantino stuff? But thankfully they haven't. And it looks sensational. Lovely slipcover as well. So for me, it's got to be Top Gun Maverick that I've seen of this that's come out this year, of a film this year. But then again, Everything Everywhere All at Once looks sensational as well, which it's such a good movie. But I don't know if anyone else has found about this. It's a great movie, but it's hard to watch in one go because there's that much stuff happening in it. You've got to kind of. We broke off because we started late at night, so we stopped it and watched the other half the next day, which I think was good because we were getting the point of being literally there's that much happening the cuts that they got in that movie, I don't know how they kept the continuity going, because you know when someone's looking at somebody, then they turn back to another version of that person, and they're going, the multi-universe, and that is probably the most amazing multi-universe ever. So I'm going to say it's going to be a bit of a generic answer for that, but there's all the other ones, the Dario Argento ones, the 4Ks that Arrow are doing, they're amazing as well. So there's a lot of underground stuff. We can see some of the old Argento movies that are getting released, the early 70s movies. They look sensational as well. So there's that. I do think that a lot of them stuff is going to come out in 2023. You know, or these old movies, which I'm really glad to see, because sometimes, well, Pulp Fiction isn't an old movie, but it kind of is really. And you think, well, it's ever come out and look that good, but it's amazing how they can pull out from a movie from '94. So I think, but I've got The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari on 4K. That's 1920, and they've done a 4K of a movie from 1920, but they haven't done HDR on it, unfortunately. So it could be a little bit better. It could be a little bit darker in certain scenes, but it looks pretty much amazing. I mean, it's amazing what 4K these days, and I think it's going to get better next year for the older stuff.
I might have gleaned this from your video, this, John, actually, now that I think about it. But did you mention in your video that they didn't have the original negative for that movie? They've
got some of it.
Like bits that they've found because it's so old.
Yeah, they've got some of it. You can see where they've got. This goes for all old silent movies. They've got bits of them, but they haven't got the whole negative. They've got bits here and there, and the horror things from super 16mm or that type of thing, or even videotapes. So it goes up and down the qualities, but when they get to the actual original negatives, when you see them, you can tell them a mile off that's the proper the true 4K aspect of this movie. When you do that, to see the stuff you can see in what the negatives of a 1920 movie, it's ridiculous, you know. Plus, what they've done is they've you know how you see old 20s movies and they're like walking around, they're dead fast. They look like old silent movies are all too quick. What they do is, I don't know how they do it, but they put that right, so they have the timing of them walking as if they've done something with the movie, because it was hand cranked back in the days, so they couldn't crank at the right time of them walking. So they slowed it down. But what they've done is they've put them out in 60 frames per second. You know, like Gemini Man, where it was weird to watch, soap opera effect. For some reason, doing that, slowing them down and putting the 60 frames a second on, makes them walk properly. It makes the film look like a proper movie instead of them walking around very quick and that type of thing. So I'm all for that. You know, I hope they're going to bring like Nosferatu out and things like that, and Metropolis. That should be really good. I've seen that more in 2023.
I've seen novelty things on YouTube. You're talking about like taking stuff from like Jason the Argonauts and that, you know, all the stop motion sequences, and like rendering it in 60 frames per second, and saying that it, you know, it like, looks 100 times better when you speed up the frame rate because the jittery stop motion is
it's weird how they've if you look at the 60 frames per second movie from now, like Gemini Man, it looks a bit odd. But if you go and watch a 1920s movie in 60 frames per second, it actually looks better. But you can just see that they're moving a little bit soap opera-y. And if you study it, it's an odd thing, but to have them moving actually in real time instead of too quick, it gives them a bit more. It makes the film seem more authentic, as opposed to, it doesn't look like a silent film anymore. The silent films these days, when I do them right, they don't look like silent films. Well, obviously they've got no talking.
Yeah, there's a difference.
They play out like a proper film. Which, to look at it, you know that when you're watching this film, everybody in the world, in the whole world, is probably dead by now. There's probably no one alive from when that was shot. Everyone's gone. I mean, if you think about someone in that movie, see a young kid in that movie from 1920, chances are that person not going to be alive now. You know, so has everybody in the world died since then? It's a bit of a morbid thing to think about when you're watching it. You watch some like history lesson. None of this, even the sets, the places that where they were shot in the streets, none of them exist anymore. So it's great. It's great, a fascinating route to go down. I think the silent movies.
It's like a relic, is what you mean, right?
Yes.
It's like a relic.
It
It's
is,
nice
yeah.
to see them getting preserved that way, isn't it? For like younger audiences to.
Well, you know how
enjoy.
you see these movies like Avatar, it's something you can't really see because it doesn't exist. It's like a sort of a strange world. But when you look at these movies, it's like watching a different world again, which doesn't exist anymore. None of this stuff exists anymore. So you're kind of seeing an early Avatar, if that makes any sense.
That's an interesting way to look at it, I'd say.
Yeah.
I'll just go around. Ellis, your best disc of 2022.
I haven't got like necessarily a movie that I've thought the picture looks amazing, but I've got so for me it was a bit of a late release, but the Highlander box set from Studio Canal. What a beautiful thing. I just love it, man.
Yeah, I've got that one. It's awesome.
I need to see that film. I need to see it.
All right, Badgie, you need to get on it, man. It's great. But yeah, like you were saying, Andy, I was watching your video on the obviously like the picture quality and stuff like that. There's that bizarre scene in the middle of the film where obviously they've tried like a camera technique where it like pans from like he's dead. It's like the first time he's died, and the camera like sort of pans up. It looks terrible, but the rest of the film looks great. I think it looks unreal, like the lightning and stuff like that, like all superb stuff. And I think this Studio Canal as like releasing these sort of boutique films, like I think they're great. They're unbelievable. Like I've got the Total Recall one, the other one, which is like a Studio Canal, and it's a big, thick boy. Yeah. It's unbelievable. But yeah, as far as releases go, there was that one, and there was Reservoir Dogs, the new one. I like the slips that Lionsgate Steelbooks are doing. I think they did. Was it American Psycho Lionsgate as well? Yeah. I've
got that one. I bought the US import of that, and then
we both
six months later they bloody released it in the UK anyway. I paid a fortune for it. But I'm pleased to see that other people, UK punters are getting the chance at them. But I don't really know why it was so slow in the uptake. There was a good, I think 6 to 12 months where they were releasing loads of these titles in America, but they never thought that people in Britain would want them. Now they obviously are. Like they're releasing them in tandem, like the latest ones, and we're doing the back catalogue for some of the more popular ones that came before. But yeah, that technique you're talking about in Highlander, I've since found out just from my video, even that people comment on it and kind of given their knowledge of it, was apparently that back in the day when they would do optical stuff. It's not like now when you just have a digital file, you can just like fire it into an editing software and go, right, let's play about with it, overlaying stuff. If you wanted to have like footage of the film that wasn't the film itself to put in some kind of software, you would just have to record the screen of like a VHS. So they would just play it back, or literally just line up another camera with the lens of the actual camera that is running the film, and then just film it. So I think for Highlander in that scene, it was a VHS though. So they've literally played a shitty VHS on a TV screen, and then just fired, like literally someone just put the camera over it to film that scene, so that they can then create the overlay, and that's why it looks absolutely horrendous. So, and that's then obviously been committed to the negative. So when they're scanning it, it's like, yeah, brilliant. Then they get to that bit in the negative that's like a source is recorded VHS. So there's nothing you can do about that. It's just going to look terrible. It's
not like a particularly like intense or like intricate shot. It's literally like a shot panning from him being dead, but it does go into his. Does it pan into his eyeball? Then it like sort of.
Yeah, so it's like, give the impression that this is all in Russell Nash's like mind, his memory.
Yeah,
It pans out of his eyes, if like to modern day. Yeah, Highlander's just great. It's just like such a mashup, and watching it now and knowing that Russell Macaulay or Macaulay, whatever he's called, came from like an MTV background. It's so obvious. It looks like that. It looks like a 2-hour long MTV music video, but it just works for some reason. I think the fact you've got Queen, the Queen soundtrack, then it doesn't feel too alien. That there's almost like MTV music video vibes to it because there's like a pop culture band playing, but it just kind of works with the mishmash of genres as well. Because much like Russell Nash himself, he's from a lot of different places to quote the film. So it's kind of like that kind of new, for the time, new age kind of like overly stylistic editing kind of technique, and the kind of cinematography of it kind of lends itself to a film that's not really trying to be any genre. It's trying to be its own thing across them all. So I think it kind of works. But no, that box set's awesome, mate.
Love the artwork on the front.
Yeah. The Matt Reeves' stuff is Matt Reeves. What's his name? Matt Ferguson.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know the artist's name. I know you were aware of the artist's name, though.
Yeah, Matt Ferguson is superb. We'll get onto Matt. In fact, just as soon as we're talking about it, I would probably echo what John said with regards to transfers. Maverick's phenomenal looking demo disc. Pulp Fiction is one of the best kind of older movies I've seen remastered in a long time. I put it on just thinking, that's the steelbook I've got there. Put it on just thinking, I thought maybe I was buying it to review it really, to be honest, and I wanted it anyway. But I thought it might be a bit lackluster when you looked at the Blu-ray.
Yeah.
But it really is though. I put it on straight away and within 10 minutes I thought this is like, a perfect kind of reference transfer of an older film. But talking about Matt Ferguson, and just for the sake of variety, I got this Film Vault edition of Blade Runner, which Blade Runner. But this Film Vault edition is lovely, like really, really nice. And it's Matt Ferguson does the artwork for this. I'm going to do a dedicated video on it. I just not had the chance this week. Probably drop early next week, comparing it to Titans Occult 1 and just giving my thoughts on it. But that's a cracking set in hand. If any Blade Runner fan should be pleased that came out this year, over above all the various different versions that are out there. But I think the Film Vault stuff's lovely.
It seems a lot bigger than the just regular.
That's what I'm going to cover in my video. So I've actually sitting here because I was going to film it, but just fucking back, just to give you a reference. So that's standard slip Blade Runner, and that's the Film Vault.
Oh yeah, beautiful.
You see, it's much bigger than just a standard set.
Sorry, I was just going to say the company who made that big box version of Blade Runner, I think they also did one of Scarface. I think I'm very interested in it. I think they did. I saw a quick image of it. I was like,
they did actually.
They brought out for more than one time, Badger. So they brought out Blade Runner 1917, which I thought was kind of a bizarre one. I don't know if it's just they were struggling for a fourth time with the license or something. Not that it's a bad film, but just compared to the other kind of so it's Goodfellas, Scarface from the 80s, Blade Runner, all run about the same kind of time period, kind of cult status, and you get 1917. And I think that's a great film, and it looks fantastic. The artwork he's done is fantastic, but it does seem like the kind of the ugly duckling out the four, just kind of odd one out. So, but having that one now, I'm tempted to get them all. Just being fairly new to the collecting game, it's when a kind of series comes out that's fresh and you've got the chance to collect them all now, then I'm kind of tempted to go, well, if I jump on them now, I can get them as they go, as opposed to say it's Titans Occult or something, you're jumping in at their 20th release, and then you're going to go back and fish out the other 19 off of scalpers from eBay and stuff. So it is tempting to kind of jump in on the Film Vault stuff, because I don't think it'll be the last. They're numbered 1 through to 4, and I think given how successful they've been, there'll probably more ones to come from that.
Yeah, I think be more.
For yourself, Paul, what was your kind of best pickup?
So the answer to your best disc of 2022 is Top Gun Maverick, and I don't think anything's going to come out this year. I don't really like to buy 4Ks that I've already got on Blu-ray just for cost efficiency, unless it's a film, it's one of my favourite films ever. So I've got two. Both of them, I waited for people's opinions on them, including yourself, Andy's, with one of them. But the first one, I didn't want to buy this just for the slip cover and the cover art, but it's awful. But the transfer itself is amazing, and it's the Lost Boys. That cover, just looking at it, that cover's awful. What is that?
I love that cover. I love that cover.
The steelbook's tasty, though.
What's that, man? That looks like digital, clock, right? Whatever. But the first thing I noticed on this was the sound more than the picture. And it's not Atmos. I think it is just 5.1. But where I sit in my living room, like the back speaker's like right there. And right at the start of that film is the shot where it's going over the water and it's the POV of the vampires and you can hear them like laughing and stuff. Now, you can pick that up on the Blu-ray, but I swear it sounded like it was right behind me. And straight from there, and that Cry Little Sister music kicks in. Oh,
Yeah,
it looked
man.
amazing. It sounded amazing. The scene with the saxophone guy with
Tim
the fire and
Capello.
everything, Tim Capello, that looked amazing. Great transfer, great film.
The best thing
One of the
about
best
Lost
4Ks
Boys.
I've bought this year. My second one, and after I finished watching this, I kicked myself. I didn't buy the big one that you got, Andy. Drive. Love the transfer of this. Again, the sound for this. I love the soundtrack to this. Hearing that Kavinsky Night Court to start with that neon shot of it going through the car going through the streets, and now I was just locked in. Great transfer. Them two I'd highly recommend if you would pick them up. And I because I waited, I got them both cheaper than they were when they released as well.
Yeah. I was actually a wee bit underwhelmed with the transfer drive.
Okay.
It looks cracking, but it was just that the Blu-ray looked amazing. I think it was filmed on video, so it was capped at 2K because that's what it was captured at. So it's that way where it's like.
I think it was the sound more the soundtrack to it. Hearing that Atmos, that soundtrack through my because I've got quite a good sound system in the living room, just hearing it sort of echoing around the living room.
The Dolby Atmos was a bit of an upgrade, I have to say, but I think it's just one of those cases where the standard Blu-ray release was already of a very high quality. So it was one of those ones, a bit like the RoboCop one when it came out. It was always going to be difficult to justify itself against an already really good 2K mastering. But yeah, the box set though, like I don't regret getting the box set.
I wish I got it, man. I really wish I pulled the trigger on it.
It's fantastic. So I still give it a reasonably good score as a release. But I think if you didn't have it and you bought that, you're going to be blown away with the transfer. But if you were upgrading, you might be a wee bit kind of like, all right, where's my money going here? But it's a nice looking film. Anyway.
I think Second Sight are like really good at picking particular films. Like their catalog's amazing.
Yeah.
Yes. Fuck yes.
Yeah.
They're great, man. They're great.
Yeah, because labels have to be kind of careful, don't they, with what they pick. And I think Arrow's starting to like maybe I don't know what you think, guys, but
I think they're running out of titles, too.
Yeah.
Well, what was Wall Street all about? That was a weird one for me.
Wall Street was a bit of a. I'm not going to say sellout because that's not fair. Because I think Wall Street is a cult film. It's a modern cult film. And I suppose they have they basically get to the point where they've released such a massive back catalogue that they have to start coming forward rather than going back.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's going to be at the expense of kind of like, I mean, even when you put an Arrow disc on and you get that initial like the Arrow logo with the old 80s music over it into it, and it's all scratchy. Like it's obviously for those kind of like old 80s B movies, 70s like horrors that aren't as widely known, and that's what Arrow's done. It's done a great job of like bringing them to the fore. People like myself that don't know half these movies watch like John's channel, and John kind of tells you the best ones to buy and check out and stuff. But then when they start giving it, Wolf of Wall Street, you're kind of like, all right, like it's not a film that needed like.
I did pick it up just because I don't have it on 4K already. I only have the Blu-ray release of it, and it is one of my favourite Martin Scorsese films. So it was a bit of a. I'm a sucker for them Arrow box sets that they do as well. I think like for the price that they are, they're like what £25 to £30. Like majority of the time, then you'll get a £35 if it's 4K. But I think the quality of the boxes that Arrow release are unbelievable. They're brilliant for the price they are as well. I think.
Yeah,
I agree.
With yourself, Badger. I'm just getting not to toilet, lads, but I'll let you. I'll be listening.
Yeah, that's cool, man. Do your thing. There's a number of them, so I'm gonna just blast through them because I don't want to drag this out. Even though I absolutely hate the art cover, I do love. I think Second Sight's 4K version of Dog Soldiers, right? Wasn't that Second Sight?
Yeah.
If I remember correctly. Yeah, Dog Soldiers is one of my favorite overall films. I think that film is absolutely stunning. But the Blu-ray was always hard to get. It was always in another country. It wasn't ever region B. which is crazy because it's the most English film of all time, right?
I've got Badger's
Yeah,
Blu-ray
right.
of it.
Yeah, I bought the American version of it and it didn't work for me, so I ended up giving it to Ellis. So yeah, I sent it to him. All good, buddy. But yeah, so there's 4K and all of the crazy special features are fantastic. I hate the cover art, but that one really pleased me this year. The next two, I'm going to blast through it. I'm an avid fan of Rick Mel and Adrian Emerson, so the fact that we finally got young ones on Blu-ray was outstanding for me. Hopefully we get Bottoms soon as well. I fucking love those guys so much. On top of this, most young people won't know this one, but I am so happy that I recently got Monkey on Blu-ray. A lot of young bloods won't know this. It's a wonderful show, ultra cheesy, ultra fun. Came out like in the early 80s. Not enough people my age know it. I fucking think this is outstanding. Yeah, John, have you seen this bad boy? Have you seen Monkey before when it was on TV?
Yeah, well, I used to watch it on the TV when I was coming from home, and it was from school actually, and we used to put it on. There was Monkey, Pigsy, Sandy, Trippy Talker.
Yep.
And everyone loved it. You know, it was, but so that goes for about £100 though, doesn't it? It's like £80 or something, isn't it? It's not cheap.
I spent 65.
Wow. Oh.
No, I spent £65 on it, and yeah, 65.
Right, that's fair enough, because that's not a bad price for it. But I think when I picked it up, I was like, whoa, that's a bit out of my price range. But if I was ever saw it cheaper, I would definitely get it, because it's one of my favorite childhood things to watch. And when I've watched it, I can't remember how it ends, so I've got to see it completely now to see how it ends. And
yeah, I never once made it. Never made it to the end. I never did.
All right. Well, you know, Trippy Talker is like the person, the boy with him, but it's not a boy, it's a girl. Everyone knows that. I wondered if that was ever going to be answered in the TV series. You know, that was, and then the theme tune at the end is one of the best theme tunes I've ever heard in my life. It's absolutely amazing. I don't know what it's called.
The music is top notch, man, and the fact that not enough people know Monkey bothers me, man. People like in my generation or younger don't know it, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? When good
I've never heard of it, Badger.
No, it's fine. It's not your fault. It just bothers me.
Can you hold it up again, mate? Because I've been listening in the background, but just I can see what it. Right, this is an early 80s like TV.
Yeah. It's remarkable. Now, obviously, it's no one's fault if they haven't heard of something that's not exactly within their power. So I'm not judging anyone. It's just the fact that when amazing art starts getting forgotten about, I get frustrated. Like Ken Loach's Kess. Not enough people in my generation know it, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna kill someone. Oh, dude, it's just amazing. But look, I got one more thing in a way that I am, but hands down, the most happy about, the number one thing that I am most happy about that I got on physical release. It finally came out on Blu-ray after all of this time. Gary Oldman's Nil by Mouth. This film is horrible. It's incredibly tough to watch. It's very rough. Ray Winston in it, Kathy Burke. It's really, really rough. But it was written and directed by Gary Oldman in the 90s. And when it came out, it hit really hard because it's a grindy, grungy, low-budget film. And it's just to completely simplify it, it's just about alcoholism, essentially. It's rough, low-quality family dynamics and how they function when alcoholism is involved. To quote Gary Oldman, he said that he liked leaving Las Vegas and all that, all the alcoholism in that. He thought it was quite cool, like, to watch, but it wasn't realistic because Gary Oldman himself is a recovering alcoholic. He himself is a recovering alcoholic, and his dad died of alcoholism, and multiple people he knows have died from it. And he said the reality is leaving Las Vegas wasn't remotely realistic, because in real life, when you're that drunk and you're that much of an alcoholic trying to drink yourself to death, you're not that charming. You always stink. You always stink all the time. You stink, and you also bleed out of your asshole. Sadly, it's like you are. It's horrifying. It's absolutely horrifying. It is the worst thing ever. So what did he do? He decided to make a film that doesn't. It doesn't really have much of a journey. The characters don't have arcs. It's just simply, here is a lens. Look at how these people live, and it is rough. Is rough. Ray Winston is outstanding in it. Kathy Burke, who I guess is most famous for the shows Gimme 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 and Kevin and Barry. She doesn't give a comedic performance in this film. She's the abused girlfriend. Ray Winston beats the piss out of her in the film, and it's hard to watch. And it's just this completely painful experience that's based very much on Gary Oldman's upbringing, and it's not fun, but it doesn't change the fact that it's hands down one of the best overall films I've ever seen. And because it's low quality, because it's an older film and it's got a low budget, the camera quality was never all that great. It was available on DVD and VHS. That was it. After all this time, literally less than a month ago, this came out on Blu-ray. Give me some of this. I went and checked it out. The special features are outstanding, and on my massive 75-inch TV, the quality looks exquisite. So I'm so happy. I'm so happy this happened. You know what I mean?
It's a film I've never seen, mate, but I'm kind of intrigued to watch.
I remember watching it at a very early age, and it was a film I shouldn't have been watching at the age I watched it. So it was one of my mum's favourite films, to be fair.
Yeah, I saw it back in the day, and it's really bleak, but you can tell it's a good movie. It's but it's a tough watch, and it doesn't glamorize anything, which movies sometimes will sort of glamorize bits and pieces of it to make it a bit more easy to digest. But this one's just straight on, straight to die.
Ray Winston has been in quite a number of films like that. He also did that film Scum, which is just impossible to watch. Whenever I watch that film Scum, I literally have to fast forward through some of the scenes. Literally, I can't watch some of them again. Saw it once, no thank you.
Very realistic as well.
Yeah, exactly. Too realistic. So yeah, it happens, man. It happens.
Yes.
A film like it's kind of like that for me that I watched was you ever seen the film Irreversible?
Yeah. It was
it's a French film.
Yeah.
I don't want to watch it. I know about it. I haven't seen it. I don't really want to. I heard about it. I was like, yeah, I'm all good. I'm all right. Thank you.
One of those ones that's like it's a great piece of like movie making, but bleak as fuck, man. Like I know not but it's designed to be that way. It's designed to like drive a knife through you, pretty much, and like pretty much punch you in the face with regards to the subject matter. But I think stuff like that is important.
Of course, sometimes, yeah.
Sometimes you definitely have to be in the mood for these kind of features, though. You have to kind of know a little bit before you go and make sure you're in the right kind of headspace to. Because I think if you're not having a good day, or you're mentally a bit down, watching stuff like that could have quite a negative effect on you. So you have to kind of. It sounds strange. You have to be in a good place before you can knowingly let yourself go there, if that makes sense. So you're kind of balanced enough to. But on that dreary note, move into. Was there anything? Just kind of quickly on this one. Let's not be too negative for too long. But was there anything that kind of let you down on disc? Or
mine's Heat.
That you thought was shit, or what?
Heat was mine, and I know you give it a glaring review. I watched Heat on 4K and I actually had to swap it out back for the Blu-ray. It was dark as hell, man. There was a scene where they're outside and it was dark, and I literally paused it, flipped it to the Blu-ray, and I was like, right, that's what it's supposed to look like.
I didn't give it a glaring review, Paul. I kind of defended it, but I kind of acknowledged both sides of the argument. That was kind of like my take. It was
this exact. It's the bit when they go to that outside, take that guys around the table, and they're outside in like a yard or a scrapyard or something. Yeah. I was watching it, like, it looks like it's at night time, and I'm pretty sure, I was like, I haven't seen the film in a few years, but I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be daytime. And I literally paused it, flipped it back in the 4K out, put the Blu-ray in, and I was like, well, yeah, I feel like that's what it's supposed to look like. It was a weird transfer that I was so like great, like just dingy and dark. And I remember in your review saying it sort of fits the tone of the movie, which I agree with. It does. It has that sort of like blue tone to it. But it was at that point the film was like, this feels like it's too dark. It's not what it's supposed to look like.
I think it's like I read like the article of what that Michael, like it was like interview with Michael Mann and like why he kind of changed it and what he was kind of going for, and he basically said if he was going to shoot it, he didn't like that it was colourful. Like he felt it was too colourful when the original the way he filmed it. And now that he's moved on, he's still happy with the movie, but he felt it should be more almost like a black and white picture.
Right.
Which is kind of what he did. It's just near enough what he did with the transfer, to be fair. So he's just trying to give it a much more serious kind of monochromatic tone, which he felt, which I kind of agree with. But I think the problem for was that like if you're used to watching it in one way, and then they change it, because there was nothing wrong with it, the Blu-ray transfer. So I think like if that's what you're accustomed to watching, then that is now your memory of Heat. When he then decides, well, actually, no, I would have done it like this. It doesn't necessarily, and purists will say, well, that's the definitive version because that's the filmmaker's preference. But I think once a filmmaker puts something out there, be it a director's cut, be it a HDR grade, whatever it is, and then says, well, do you know what, I've had a chance to have a look at it, and this is actually the way I wanted it to be. I also think that it's not, I don't necessarily agree with that. I think once the filmmaker's made something and put it out there and it's been successful, if he wants to tinker with it, great. And if you want to, if you like that filmmaker or whatever, or you love the movie, so you want to like experience it in a different way, then by all means. But I don't think it's kind of fair to say, well, that's now the definitive. Whatever was out before, that doesn't count, like, because he's changed it to this. No, I don't. I think like he's put that out. People have loved it for that reason. If you want to continue loving it for that reason, then that's your Heat. That's what they initially gave you. You don't have to subscribe to his revision kind of thing, which obviously James Cameron, George Lucas, these guys are all tinkerers. Like they're bad for it. They're bad for like, but you don't have to subscribe to that kind of thing. You can take it or leave it. It's my kind of take on it.
James Cameron's too much of a tinkerer for me, if I'm being honest. He just needs to get True Lies and get Aliens out on a 4K release. For God's sake.
No. Terminator 1 as well, dude. And the first Terminator.
Yeah. Chuck that in as well.
Just give us a Cameron 4K box set.
What's going on with him, man? Like, sort it out. And by the way,
just put it on Blu-ray.
And the Abyss, man, it needs to go on Blu-ray as well. It's crazy, but honest to God, I haven't seen.
He overtinkers with like certain movies, like Terminator 2 or the rest of it. He does them to death, but then just doesn't do anything with like the eyes and whatnot. It's just like doesn't make any sense.
I haven't seen Terminator 2 on 4K. I haven't seen it. But I've seen some parts and it just looks waxy as shit, so I can't be bothered with it. But
I actually had zero problem with the Terminator 2 4K. I literally don't understand what people are seeing that I wasn't seeing. If that makes it, like I watched it, I was like, yeah, this is what I remember Terminator 2 looking like. But I have heard all the negative things about it. But maybe I've just not got the eye for it. I don't know. It felt like I was just watching Terminator 2 like I have watched it before. It just looks better.
Good. I'm glad to hear. I'm glad to hear.
Kind of thinking about doing a video on that, specifically on Terminator 2's transfer. Like, have people been too harsh? I think once a few high-profile people say that it's bad, then people can jump on the bandwagon and bash these things to hell. Because I think there's as many people out there that are quite happy with the transfer as there are people that don't like it. I can kind of see both sides. I know that it's a little bit. Some scenes are a little bit over DNR'd, but it's like. For 20 quid to be able to like these days to be able to just get a film for 20 quid and put it in and be that quality, I think we need to get back in our box a wee bit, but like crying about the odd scene being a little bit too DNR'd or whatever. And the thing that I find the most interesting, I've seen people saying, "Don't buy this shit, don't buy it," and that will teach them because when they see that people aren't buying it, they'll know that it wasn't a success, so they'll release it, they'll remaster it again. And I think you need to wake up because people like. Physical media isn't exactly on the up and up. So if a transfer gets released and you don't buy it, they're not going to go, oh God, we screwed the transfer.
They want a better one, let's go again.
Go like that. All right, nobody's buying this, so we just won't do one. No, like they're just going to go, nobody's buying this shit. Cool, let's not waste my time. That'll do. It's more likely that if everybody buys it, they'll go, oh, let's do another one. Let's tinker with it and see if they'll buy it. They'll buy it again.
Yeah, I'll say one. I'll say one just dead quick. I haven't actually seen it, but I refuse to. Pretty much, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles recently came out on 4K. Been waiting all year for it. Couldn't wait to watch that masterpiece on 4K. Looked up all the reviews. Looked up all the evidence. I think it looks astonishing how crap it looks. So I'm not getting it. But yeah, it's got nothing to do with that whole rebellion. Show them that you're not buying it. It's not that.
If it's one of your favourite films of all time, you want it to look the best it can get. And if it's not, majority of people are saying it. Do you know what I mean? It's a gamble you don't want to take. And I get what
Plus, I've seen the evidence of it. I've seen certain clips of it online and shit. I was like, oh no, thank you. I'm all good, mate. I'm all good. I would much rather watch the VHS of that, especially when you factor in I love VHS to this day. So
yeah.
Anyone else get any kind of disappointing ones or ones that they feel should be avoided?
I don't know if this has come out this year. I think it might have done, possibly not. But Scott Pilgrim versus the World. It should have been astounding, color-wise. The color in it is amazing, colorful movie. But when you put it in, I looked at it and I thought, hang on, this looks like the Blu-ray looked in my mind. I put the Blu-ray on, and it was just exactly the same. Even the HDR on it doesn't really lift the colors up. The colors are kind of the same, and I thought that shouldn't happen. I should be with a colorful movie. The HDR should take it to another level, but it just doesn't. So that really.
Weirdly enough, I won the Scott Pilgrim Blu-ray off your live stream.
Yes, you did, didn't you?
And you put a note in it. You put a note in it saying, "This is the definitive version. You will never need to upgrade this."
Yes, that's very cool. I remember thinking to myself, right, I've got a spare one of these. I'll give it away on my live stream. And then I thought, when I'd actually watched it, I thought, you know what it is? I'm giving you the same version I've got in 4K. So yes, you do not need.
Fucking film as well, Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah, it's a great movie, but they could have done so much more from it. I feel as if they wasted the opportunity there to put the color into it. HDR.
That's funny. That's fucking funny, man. Like, wow.
I only watched Scott Pilgrim for the first time last week. I've had it on Blu-ray for about 2 years finally. So now I know I don't need to upgrade it at least.
But don't get the 4K. Whatever you do, if you get the 4K, just find the Blu-ray basically. For me,
that was the movie that made me fall in love with Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
Yeah, she's great in that movie.
It's a fun film. It's totally wacky, but it's pretty fun. I get why people like it, having watched it for the first time there. But he's got a weird back catalogue, Edgar Wright, isn't he?
Right.
It's strange. This is a good thing though. Good films.
First three, Shaun of the Dead for a long time was in my top 5 favorite films of all time.
I've not seen Shaun of the Dead in ages, man. But I remember when it came out, watching it
all the time. Yeah, that was the same. Yeah.
I actually want that Cornetto trilogy.
Okay, that's not that great, actually. Sadly enough, the Cornetto trilogy. Shaun of the Dead. I've watched that one. I'm watching the other two, but they're all right. Don't get us wrong. They're quite nice, but they're just not that next level. You get that jump, the 4K jump. And you think, oh, a bit like Pulp Fiction, for instance. You're not getting that, sadly. But it's all right. But it's not groundbreaking.
I don't have I had Hot Fuzz and Shaun of the Dead years ago on DVD, but I've since got rid of them. So I was thinking about just snagging the 4K trilogy, because sometimes it goes for $20, just because I'm not upgrading the Blu-ray as such. So I might go
it's 4K. Not bad. Don't get us wrong, but don't be expecting to be wowed by it.
Yeah. No, cool. Is that everyone? Anyone get anything to add on the dodgy disc section? None. Cool, man. I'm aware of the time, lads. It's nearly hitting the 3-hour mark. It's a Sunday night, so I don't want to keep these any longer, as much as I'm enjoying it. But we'll just kind of quickly round off, I suppose, with what you're kind of most excited for in 2023. Can be anything you want. Can be a movie. Can be like Blu-ray releases. Can be movies, TV shows. I've got a funny feeling I know what Paul's going to say. So go with you first, Paul. What are you most excited for?
Most excited 2023. I've got them written down here, so let's just blast through them.
Yeah, go for it.
Right, so we've got Doom Part 2 is probably my number one most anticipated film of next year. I love Doom Part 1. I was literally locked into that world. Runtime flew by. I was entrenched in that film. I can't wait to see the follow-up. I think once that Part 2's out, I know there's a lot of people who weren't too... But I think combine them two are going to be a masterpiece. Indiana Jones 5. Really excited for that. I want to see what they can do with that. Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1. What the last 4 have been good, so I'm pretty sure it's going to be amazing as well. Evil Dead Rise. I'm quite high up. I cannot wait to see what they do with that. I loved Evil Dead Remake is probably my favorite horror film of the last 10 years. So I'm excited to see what they do with more Evil Dead, even though it's not a follow-up of that. It's sort of a standalone story. Super Mario Brothers, the movie. I grew up with Super Mario. That trailer, that teaser trailer release looked brilliant. I'm looking forward to see what they can do with that. Pardon?
I've not seen the trailer yet, but I've heard people raving about it.
It looks awesome. It just looks fun as hell. It looks like the games, you know what I mean? You know, if we're going on about game adaptations, that looks like what the game is. And Creed 3, I'm really excited to see Michael B. Jordan's directorial debut and see what he can do with that franchise as well.
So thanks to Sylvester Stallone's looking forward to it. The sounds of thing.
Probably not, no, but
he's raging about it.
Oh, and John Wick 4 as well. I seen the trailer for that in front of Avatar last night, and Donnie Yen in John Wick. Yeah, take my money.
Yeah.
I think you've pretty much covered everything there, Paul. It's the whole 2023 roster there. No, awesome, mate. You know, I thought the one thing I thought you were definitely going to say, you haven't even mentioned, which is weird.
I might get it.
Because he was just putting it coming up. Indiana Jones and Transformers is meant to be out in 2023. Yeah. Does anyone care about Transformers? Is that Beast Wars? Because
I was a fan of Beast Wars back in the day, so like that's my Transformers. The OG Transformers wasn't my Transformers, so I'm actually a little bit interested in this new one.
So maybe that's what I couldn't get it.
So we're all right.
You're a little bit younger than me, Ellis. So I couldn't get it. I felt as if like going down the Beast Wars, isn't it?
Yeah, Beast Wars. I did like the toys and stuff as well. I never had like Optimus Prime or anything like that.
Right.
I always had like the gorilla and the cheetah and stuff like that.
I didn't really think of that. Maybe that's the thought behind it then, because I was thinking, they're scraping the barrel going down the beat like a kind of crappy spin-off franchise. But maybe they're thinking, you know, things moved on since the first Transformers. We maybe need to tap into like it's more. The age range is like people in their 20s, so they're thinking about what were they growing up with, which would be Beast Wars, I suppose. So I remember there was a really shitty game coming out for the PlayStation 1 of Beast Wars that my brother loved.
Oh my god, yes, I remember that game.
Oh man, terrible game.
That was terrible.
Okay. Thought Paul's shout would be Ghostbusters 2023.
Is that coming out 2023 though? Because I don't even feel like they've started filming it yet.
No.
There was a teaser trailer recently, wasn't there?
No, I don't think there's been anything about 2023 Ghostbusters yet.
There's another one coming out.
Yeah, it's like a follow-on to Afterlife. I don't think that's going to be a 2023 release. I could be wrong. I don't think they've even started filming it. I could be wrong though.
Yeah, I thought I seen a trailer for it. Maybe it's one of these fan-made ones that I've just been fooled into thinking was like the official. Right. And it had them like at the fire station and all that, and Winston was knocking about.
Right.
But that was the kind of teaser, wasn't it? That was the teaser.
That's like a stinger at the end of Afterlife.
Maybe Campfire says December. Just checked.
Oh, okay, right, okay. I'm excited for that then.
That's maybe one of these IMDb like slots though, where they just slot it in for them, but it might not actually come out then.
No.
But yeah. No, there's one thing that I thought you were going to mention straight away, Paul, but you didn't. But we'll see if someone else comes to it first.
Okay.
go Badger. What are you excited for?
Yeah, number of them. Well, Paul's already said some, but I'll say quick. I'm an avid fan of the Rocky franchise, so Creed 3 I can't wait for. Also, I was raised with Super Mario Brothers. My earliest memory comes with Super Mario Brothers, so I cannot wait for the movie. It looks exquisite. Looks exquisite, man. So I'm with you on that. I'm actually quite optimistic nowadays with video game transfers to, film and shows or whatever, because I've seen some decent flicks. I'm a big fan of the Mortal Kombat movie. I thought the first Sonic film was decent. The second one was iffy, but I liked bits of it. But yeah, this Mario film is looking awesome. It looks like they're finally pushing it in that right direction. I'm hoping they won't fuck it up. We'll see. Also, on top, speaking of video game transfers, the Last of Us show looks exquisite. Yeah, I'm a big fan of. Sorry, what did you say?
That's what I thought Paul was going to lead out with.
I thought we were talking bloody movies, didn't I?
Maybe that's what your head's been in the movie game.
I'm very excited for Last of Us.
That one I cannot wait for. I'm a big fan. I think the first one's a masterpiece, and even though the second one had so many flaws in logic with the story, I still liked it far more than most people. I thought it was very well done. But hands down, the number one thing I cannot wait for next year. I've rewatched the trailer many times, and I almost cried, by the way, the first time I saw the trailer. The Whale, starring Brendan Fraser. It's already out now in America. It's got glowing reviews, but we don't. It's got glowing reviews, but we don't get it till February, and it's exquisite. Brendan Fraser just plays morbidly obese man. He's like 600 pounds. He's eaten himself into an early grave after dealing with the loss of his boyfriend and that kind of thing, and he's trying to be a father again to the daughter he abandoned, and it just looks agonizing. When I first saw the recent trailer, I almost cried full blown, and I cannot wait for that. I'm not kidding. This isn't hyperbole. Creed, Super Mario Brothers, and Last of Us can go fuck themselves compared to this film. I cannot wait for it. I cannot wait for it, man. If I wanted to, I could just watch it illegally on the internet, but I don't do that, so I'm gonna have to wait to be patient.
There's a lot of Oscar buzz around the whale, eh? So you say it has been released in America, just not here yet. When is it? Did I miss that? Is it January in the UK?
No, February it comes out in the UK.
Right.
February or March, but yeah,
you must be confident that he's going to pick something up. And they're thinking, that way in the UK you can go and see it. When there's a buzz around him potentially win or at least being Oscar nominated.
We'll see. I can't wait for it.
Yeah, there's been enough noise about it anyway. John, there's anything you're kind of like looking forward to, or like?
Well, I put some down on my phone here, so remember them. John Wick 4, definitely, because it's got Donnie Yen in. I just love Donnie Yen in anything he does, so that's a definite for me. Mission Impossible, definitely. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 could be okay. I've seen the trailer; it looked all right. Deadpool 3. Have you seen the trailer for Deadpool 3?
Is that next year, is it?
What? That's 2023, so. That early?
Oh, well, I think that's the trailer. 24.
There's a trailer for it, or there's somewhat where they're talking about you've got what's it called, Ryan Reynolds, and he's sitting on a couch with Hugh Jackman, and they're kind of just talking, but there's music playing over what they're saying. Now, that strikes me. It's going to come out, but I don't know if it's. I think it was.
I think it's like an announcement trailer. The 24. Right.
Okay, but
damn you, John! You got me excited. Damn you, John.
Well, it was on this trailer I saw for the 23s, and I'm thinking, oh, great, but yeah, that was a bit misleading, wasn't it? But Megan, there's a one called Megan, which is about this little sort of like robot doll. I love robot stuff. Can't get enough of them. And then this spooky little robot doll. It's got artificial intelligence, and it kind of talks. It says that the mother of the kids, because it forms a bond with the daughter. So she's saying to this Megan off, to stop her talking, and then she comes up later on in this thing and she says, "You stop me talking. I haven't finished talking." This little robot thing is doing these dances, and it looks really creepy. So I really, and then Cocaine Bear.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
man.
Yeah.
That just looks insane. So that's going to be
forgot
one that I
about-
really want to see. That.
I
seen the-
completely forgotten
In the
about
trailer
that. That
for
looks
it.
hilarious.
I'd never even heard of it. I went to see that Violent Night during the week, and that was one of the trailers. And I
Yeah.
was just laughing my ass off, like from the beginning.
So good.
Who came there?
It looks like a movie that I couldn't really make today, but they have made it.
Yeah.
Goes against everything that's like these days you can't do anything about anything, but that looks like really like it's going to break that mold, which is great.
Yeah, I'm definitely quite excited to see Cocaine there.
I've forgotten about that. That looks hilarious. Jesus
Yeah.
Christ. So, that Winnie the Pooh serial killer film, I think, is coming out next year as well.
Yeah, what is all that about? I've not seen any trailers for him, but I've just seen a lot of buzz about it on social media about how bizarre it is.
Hair for lump.
What are you looking forward to, Ellis?
So like my number one sort of film that I'm looking forward to, like regardless of all the problems that the actors sort of had in the last year, he's not the main focus of why I'm excited about it, but it's The Flash. Like I know it's been like delayed and delayed and delayed, but I need to see Daddy Keaton back, man. Like I'm so prepared for it, man. Just that trailer when it first dropped, like the initial first 20 seconds of that trailer where he's pulling up to the gate and it's the house and you can hear the Danny Elfman music in the background. No! So I'm really excited for it. And from all the like reports I've heard about the film, like I think everyone seems to be like really pleased with like test screenings that have went on and stuff, and everyone's buzzing about Michael Keaton's performance in it. So I'm just waiting for that one. My next one was Oppenheimer's coming out next year, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's on the list.
So for me, Oppenheimer, it's a new Nolan movie. It's about the guy who invented the atomic bomb, basically. But why I think this is different from other Nolan films is that I feel like a criticism that Nolan gets with some of his films is that his characters aren't amazing. They aren't fully developed, I don't think. I think when it comes to Nolan films, his ideas and concepts are the film. Do you know what I mean? Like that's what you go to watch, but I don't think they're necessarily character-based focused films. I think his Batman films were the Nolan Batman trilogy were. That was a brilliant like dive into Bruce Wayne, especially Batman Begins. But Oppenheimer, the cast is amazing. Like you've got Cillian Murphy, Robert Downey Jr. Is Florence Pugh in it? I think Florence Pugh's got a small part in it, and Emily Blunt is playing Oppenheimer's wife in it. But yeah, there's been no trailer. There's been like a short trailer of it, but I'm just interested to see what he does on a more character-focused film.
I think it's because, like you say, he's quite like a lot of his films, other than the Batman ones, because he's focused on a franchise and the character is the franchise.
Yeah.
Like they're high concept. It's as if he comes up with a concept and then
comes up
delivers
with
the concept in a satisfying way. But yeah, at the expense of maybe like character development and stuff.
Yeah,
just kind of
100%.
they just help propel the story.
Yeah, man, totally. And another one that just sort of come out the blue, because I only saw the trailer for it the other day, and I was like, oh my god, now this is Jurassic Park Dominion I want to be watching, is the 65 trailer for Adam Driver in. That looks brilliant. Like that just looks like a solid little bit of entertainment that I had no idea that was coming out, and it's just nice seeing Adam Driver in sort of a action-centered role. Then I know he was Kylo Ren and stuff, but like he plays more, in my opinion, more drama-based roles. Yeah. So it's just nice to see him in this sort of, I don't know, it looks like a B-movie sort of Jurassic Park action flick. It looked great. It looked great.
A spaceman like gets sent back in time with his family or something, right?
Yeah, 65 million years ago. I think that's what it's insinuating. But yeah, man, I thought that looked amazing. And just to piggyback off Paul as well, I think like my absolute number one anticipated movie next year is Dune Part 2.
Yeah.
I think going off what Paul said earlier on, I think once the second half of the puzzle's released and they both form, you're going to have the best Sunday ever where you put that first movie on and you follow it through with the second movie and it'll be this one complete story. It's like I'd got really invested in that whole thing when that movie was coming out. I'd seen the Lynch movie years ago, but it just didn't commute in my head. I love everything that's going on. I love the Toto score. I love all the visuals and stuff, but I can't tell you what this movie's about. I can't tell you.
I think
but then a few years later, then it starts ramping up with the Denis Villeneuve film coming out. I went and got the book and Messiah as well. So I read Dune Part 1 and Messiah. And as I was listening to that, then Dune came out. So it was just a wash of just all this content. And I think he'd done an amazing job. You can't make that film in one film. No way. Absolutely no way. And it's evident with the Lynch film. But yeah, I think once we were saying like once that second part comes out and they interconnect, we'll have an amazing 6 hours on our hands or whatever.
I quite enjoyed, like, I watched David Lynch's version about 6 months before I went to see, before the release of Denis Villeneuve's one. And thinking back now, having seen Denis Villeneuve's interpretation, it's so much more sophisticated, so much more of a classier affair. When I think of like the Lynch one, it's as if someone did like a Christmas pantomime of like Denis Villeneuve's Dune. I think it's just bizarre and wacky and almost like a comedy. It's just like kind of stupid.
In fairness, though, I think by watching that, if you'd never seen the Lynch version before, or even if you have, like I had, going back and watching the Lynch version after you've seen Denis' version of it and after you've read the books, it all sort of clicks a little bit more. That Lynch version, there's some weird shit in it, like the whole squeezing the little mouse and drinking the juice and like it gets really weird. But I think that's just the Lynch isms coming out in it. But as far as like getting to grips with the names and stuff of the different houses and stuff like that, after watching the Denis version, if you go back and watch that Lynch version, it does make it a little bit more digestible.
Yeah, I quite enjoyed it though, I have to say. Like, I just think once you've seen the kind of more modern take on it,
and Hans Zimmer's score in that Dune film is just next level, man.
I remember when I watched the Lynch one though, like by the time I got to the end of it, the score was probably the biggest standout thing about it. Like the 80s score to like the Toto score and stuff is like, it's awesome. And it's good that there's still elements of that in Hans Zimmer's one. Much like what he did with Blade Runner 2049. But yeah. Anyone else still get in to have I covered everyone? Yeah. With regards to 2023. I think we've heard from everyone, haven't we? Kind of.
Should we quickly jump with some TV shows? I was going to say TV shows.
I was going to say, I've got one TV show that I'm sort of looking forward to, but it might not even come out next year. It's looking late 23, 24. True Detective season 4. I think it's got Jodie Foster in this one. Is playing the main lead in it. Set in a more colder environment. But first True Detective season is one of my favorite pieces of entertainment media across the board in general.
The first one was really superb.
Masterpiece.
It really is.
Second one was a big letdown. I think if it just came out on its own, if it had been the initial season to True Detective, one, it wouldn't have been as much of a household name as an anthology. But it probably would have been all right. You'd been like, it's a decent enough series. But like the first one set such a high bar. The second season was just really lackluster by comparison, I think.
It's just their relationship in that first one, Woody Harrelson and Matthew McConaughey, man. It's just it's epic. It's epic. Like, I'm a sucker for a bromance in a movie. Like, that's why I really appreciated Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, because to me that's just a bromance movie between Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio. So I know that's going far off there, but
I'm all about it.
I
was watching a podcast with Quentin Tarantino the other day talking about, you know, when DiCaprio has that meltdown in his trailer and Once Upon a Time. Apparently, it was quite interesting listening to how Tarantino kind of got that performance out of him, and he's being modest about it. He wasn't like giving it, "Oh yeah, I just directed the shit out of him." He was like, basically, I just told him roughly, give him some bullet points of what I wanted him to start moaning about, and obviously do it in his own way. And then I just stood like just off camera, and I just let him rant and rant and rant. And then when he was drying up, I would just go, "Yeah, what about that stupid wee bitch that was speaking to you earlier?" He's like, "Yeah, that fucking stupid," you know. And he would just like start jumping into it, and then he's obviously editing it. But it's quite cool listening to like how, you know, you always think these things are more polished, and that like Leonardo DiCaprio just like his eyes roll back in his head, and he just like lights go on, and he just delivers like.
That film's got so much better over time, man.
But yeah,
I need to rewatch that. I liked that film anyway, but I've wanted to rewatch it for the longest time, just not been able to find the time for it. But you know what? I think I watched it. I watched it at the cinema. I watched it when it come out on Blu-ray. I've not watched it since, and I really, really want to rewatch it.
I bought it on 4K a few months ago, and I'm kind of the same. Paul, just been looking for an opportunity to rewatch it. But I watched Pulp Fiction and Jackie Brown recently, and I'm kind of on a bit of a
Tarantino kick.
Yeah, Tarantino kick. So I might visit that one next. I'd imagine it'll look pretty stunning as well on 4K. But yeah, I think next year for me, you guys have pretty much covered a lot of the stuff that you guys are looking forward to. I'm looking forward to it. The Last of Us is a big TV show that I'm definitely looking forward to. I'll be watching that each week as it comes out on Sky. Movies wise, massive. Like the action genre, the spy genre for me, you know, like Mission Impossible franchise. That's a big calendar event for me, so I'll definitely be there. No doubt, watch the IMAX, whatever. For that one, June Part 2, yeah, absolutely, 100%. When it comes to the physical media side of things, I'm excited for second sight's release of The Hitcher. Having got Rutger Hauer recently, I've been enjoying Rutger Hauer's kind of back catalogue.
Yeah.
So yeah, and Second Sight keep teasing that one. I think they know it's going to be a big release, so every now and then they'll just throw a little, you know, like a little photo of them working on it on a laptop or whatever, that it's going to be ready soon. So looking forward to that, and of course, hopefully it's not just smoke and mirrors. We will get the James Cameron titles on 4K. Apparently, The Abyss is coming in March.
The Abyss, yeah, man.
Yeah.
You know what? I can't. Sorry, I don't mean to jump in, but I'm curious of your opinion on this. I think it's weird. Well, not really weird because James Cameron. I think it's crazy that, seeing as Avatar 2's out now, that Zavi straight away wasn't like, right, pre-order your 4K copy of Way of the Water, which we normally get with these big films. Like the day they come out, we get that Zavi email saying, right, pre-order this film. Not had one for Avatar 2 yet. I don't know what's going on.
Do you think that'll get released on 4K?
I think they'll both get re-released next year in 4K.
Yeah,
I think Avatar's definitely coming in 4K. I think that's been getting
not to do it now.
Yeah, and Titanic as well.
Titanic, yes.
That'll be a great 4K.
He's redone them, isn't he? Because is it the 25th anniversary of Titanic? No, more than that. 30th, 25th,
97.
97, yeah, the 25th around.
Got to do it. Movie's too big.
If we're going by Cameron's timescale, we'll probably get True Lies and The Abyss on 4K this year, and get Avatar on 4K in 20 years.
By the time the sixth one's out.
In like 30 years, yeah.
You absolutely loved the new Avatar, Paul?
Oh, man, listen, I can nitpick all day long if I wanted to. If you want 3 hours of pure cinema magic, go and watch Avatar in 3D on the biggest screen you can. I was locked in, start to finish. Has it got problems? Sure. Is the story... We've seen it before, yeah. But if you're a fan of the first one, I was locked in. I was in that world of Pandora, man. I cannot wait to see them. Because you've got a few more on the pipeline. I'll be there for the third one the day it comes out as well. I loved it.
I do think one thing I think is bizarre about the Avatar thing, I'm probably not alone with this opinion, is that he's known for like going years and years between things, and when he does something, he's got laser focus, and it usually ends up fantastic as a result. It's weird that he's waited all this time. Obviously, that is just bizarre, no matter who you are, to wait all that time. But I think he'd waited all that time and did just a sequel. I would have thought, well, that's still kind of the pattern is still there. You know, like he's going to focus on one movie and that'll be it. But I think it's just weird that he waited all that time and then he's went, yeah, I'm just going to do like an extra 4 films here back to back. It just does it for a guy who usually does one and then doesn't do anything for years. For him to sign himself up for like 3 or 4 films back to back, like totally.
Well, the box office come out for it earlier tonight. It's made $500 million in 2 days. So
is that right?
Is that worldwide?
$500 million worldwide in 2 days.
Right.
Wow.
Do you know what domestic it's done in America or not?
126. It's
Right.
it opened. I think it's the 5th biggest opening of the year, next to Batman.
Right.
Domestically, worldwide, it's made $500 million.
I'm really surprised at that. I've not seen it, so but I really didn't think.
What
I'd
I'd love to sit down with someone who was around in the 80s and ask them, do you remember the shift between Terminator and Terminator 2? Because I reckon when that Terminator hit, no one was like, oh, I can't wait for the second one to come out, because it didn't come out for about 8 years. And then that was like a big monumental like event movie, from what I've heard in like interviews and just people generally talking about it, that film just basically, from what I've heard from James Cameron, is that he had Terminator 2 in his head for so many years, but he was waiting for the technology to catch up to make what he wanted. He always seems to say that for some reason. But I can imagine people back in the day was like, right, Terminator 1 was a massive film. Well, it got cult status once it hit like VHS and whatnot. But no one was clamoring for Terminator 2. But now Terminator 2 is one of the best films ever made. So I sort of put that into the same with Avatar. Like, the first Avatar wasn't made as a franchise film like these Marvel films. It was a one done film.
Yeah.
It wasn't until years later he goes, right, I'm going to make a sequel now. And the sequel is a lot better than the first one, I think.
Right, okay. I watched the first one again just a few days ago, as loads of people will be, just to get in a prep again.
Yeah,
it was good. Like I don't think it's my favourite film ever, or anything like that. But I totally understand watching now why it was the big success it was. And I'll tell you something: see the CGI and stuff more than holds up even now. Like,
yeah.
more than holds up. It's better than a lot of the stuff that's produced new now. Like
yeah.
Avatar 2009, it really did lead the way, and that's why it still holds up. But yeah, it's probably streaming itself talking about Avatar 2 and whatnot. But Radley Stark has put a comment up here, and I'm probably not the best one to answer this, but I'm sure you guys will have some good answers for him. But he says, "Hi guys, found footage junkie here. Any hidden gems you think I may not?"
Roger, this one's for you.
Well,
You know,
don't put me on
loads of found footage junkie films.
Don't put me on the spot like that, mofo. Who do you think you are, man? Oh, mate. I don't... Ultra hidden gems, then. I've seen
Lake Mungo.
I've already... Okay, boom. There we go. Lake Mungo. That's a decent one. Yeah, that was this film that came out, like, what, the 2008? And it's one of those... This is one of those stories where the fan base wins. Just dead quick. I know we've been going on long enough, so I'll make this mad simple. This film came out in like 2008, 2009 called Lake Mungo. It was this fake documentary about a dead girl. And it was like supernatural stuff that happens in it. It's a fake documentary, so to speak. And it did okay, but it got pretty much buried after it came out. Now, possibly my favorite YouTuber of all time, Chris Stuckman. He does movie reviews all the time. He's one of my heroes. I adore that guy. He did this glowing review about it, saying like it's crazy how overlooked it is. Hardly anyone's watched it, and on top of that, it's not even got a Blu-ray release, just a quick DVD with no special features. No one knows anything about the director. No one knows anything about all the people involved. It's just a buried film, and he adored the film so much that he said, "That is just crazy. Let's give it some love." And what happened through that video that Chris Stuckman made, it got more popularity. And it's finally come out on Blu-ray with a load of special features, and Chris Stuckman's review helped that happen. So that's a good one. I don't agree with Chris Stuckman. I don't think he's as good as he says it is, but I do find it genuinely scary. And yeah, you should check it out if you like horror films. I think it's fucking scary, man.
It's on Amazon Prime.
Bit of a belter recommendation.
It's on Amazon Prime, apparently.
Yeah. Yeah.
Was it?
There you go. Lake Mungo isn't what I'd call hidden. I also think it's
See, Ellis? You see, Ellis? This is why I don't speak. This is why we can't have nice things, Ellis.
John's got to have one. John, have you got one? Hidden footage.
Well, probably going to have to say it's not hidden at all, but it's Cannibal Holocaust, which probably started this whole thing off in a fashion. Just come out in 4K in the UK. So it's slightly cut, but it's a decent watch, and it's really good for what it does with a hidden. They go and find this footage, and then they go and show it. So you see what they're going to see, and they see how they're going to make this documentary, this crew. And when they've shown the footage back and they look through it, they realise that this crew was like making this documentary, but it wasn't good enough, so they tried to instigate stuff happening. And you can see all this about, like, there's a woman stuck on a pole that comes, all the way through and comes out her mouth, and one of them's laughing beside her. So he's going, right, don't laugh, because we're filming now. He's going, all right, serious face and all that. You think, what? But so that's good. I mean, everyone knows about Cannibal Holocaust, but I think it's one of the ones that delivers on every aspect. It's got a lot of animal cruelty in it, so you've got to beware, though.
I've never seen it other than just knowing of it as this, like, cult video nasty kind of thing.
It's pretty brutal.
But
as a film, it's a really good film.
Blu-ray Baz, sorry, but Avatar 2 was. Stop dicking around with swimming balloon Titanic and Avatar and True Lies in 4K. I think Baz is speaking for literally millions of people out there with that. I can't say whether I can't agree with you, Baz, with regards if it was terrible or not, because I've not seen it. I really hope it's not. I don't think it's. Knowing that I like that kind of thing, I just can't see me going to see that film and thinking it's terrible. I might go
Has Cameron made a terrible film?
Yeah.
Including Piranha 2?
Piranha 2. It's up to like.
But if someone said to me, right, do you want Terminator on 4K? You can watch Avatar 3 tomorrow. I'll have Terminator on 4K every day.
There you go. Your true feeling coming out there, I think. No, that's I don't think I've ever seen a James Cameron film that I've not enjoyed, or I don't think I've seen Piranha 2. But is he not just like, he was early in his career with that one, wasn't he?
It's first film,
but almost unfair to. Is it? Did he actually direct that one?
Yeah, it's his first direct.
It wasn't like a screenwriter or something. No. Radley Stark. Avatar was only a big deal because it rode the 3D wave at the time. Not many people know that. I think, is that sarcastic? Not many people know that.
My thing on Avatar, right, when it came out way back when, is just from my personal experience with it. I watched it, I loved it, I watched it again, but then I never ever watched it again for like 10 years, up until the last year when the ball started rolling a little bit more, and the trailers started coming out for the new Avatar. That it just, oh yeah, Avatar's a thing. Like, and I know me and Paul were going on. We went back and forth the other day about it. Like, I don't feel like it did have a big cultural impact. I think the fact that it made, and it is the highest grossing film of all time, has a lot to do with the time and place we were in 2009. The 3D boom was a thing in that time and place, and arguably Avatar has been the best 3D movie since 2009. It's never propelled.
It probably kind of
forward.
It kind of began and ended with it. It probably kind of
it
put it on the map, and then nobody could do it better again. So it can almost died with Avatar as well.
I mean, my sort of debate with it is Shawshank Redemption is one of my all-time favorite films ever, but I've not watched it in about 5 or 6 years. But I still love it. It's still one of my favorite films of all time. Avatar is not one of the favorite films of all time, but I think we live in a generation where a new film, like a sequel, will come out. We're like, oh, right, I need to watch the other ones now to sort of catch up with it. I think that's how we sort of, a lot of people sort of consume media now, because we just like, oh, there's a new Indiana Jones coming out, so all of us are going to start binging through the other ones again to sort of catch up with it. We couldn't do that with Avatar, which I was saying to Ellis, it was never a film that was franchised. Same with Titanic. Titanic made a cultural impact at the time, but it's not like people aren't talking about it day in, day out, like, say, Star Wars. I haven't got Rose and Jack Funko sitting on my shelf. Do you know what I mean? It's still made a cultural impact, though. People still know what that film is.
I want those Funko Pops, but they are
Yeah,
rare
so
as hell,
I
man.
want them now. I've said it.
Should have a Rose one on that. You should have a Rose one where she's on the plank with like Jack bobbing up and down beside it.
But the thing with the first Avatar is that, again, that film made so much money. That is repeat business. That's people going back to see it over and over and over again. And then I think, I hate saying this, but I feel like that stigma, it's a film that's held under a microscope because it was that big film for years, and people are like, why and how is it that big of a film? Which people hold the microscope over it a bit more. All it is a 2.5 hour fun blockbuster film like Independence Day, but because of what it did and the technology it used and the money it made, it's scrutinized a little bit more, I feel.
I think it's scrutinized because it's James Cameron at the end of the day.
And that probably, yeah.
I think it's been, but see what you just said there, Ellis, about the fact that, like, and I was in this camp as well, that, like, maybe we all were, the whole, like, seen it in 2009, loved it, really enjoyed it. It was a technical marvel, it was an enjoyable film, and then just for some reason nobody went back to it. It seems to be there isn't. I've never really met anyone that continually watches it and say, "Oh, it's my favorite film. I watch it, 3 times a year or whatever." The way that, like, Terminator 2, Terminator 2 keeps getting steelbooks released every 5 minutes because it's a cultural thing. It's like people just love revisiting Terminator 2. Maybe it's because it's Arnie. Maybe it's the kind of cyberpunk thing. I don't know, the violence. I don't know.
But it's a 10 times better film than Avatar as well. Which I would say it is, yeah.
But it didn't make the money that Avatar made, so it's like, it's a difficult one to work out. So it's like, I just think, like, to me, that smacks of Avatar was, a technical marvel, more so than it was a great movie. And that's why it had this inflated box office appeal, but it doesn't have that the kind of heart that brings it back, that brings people back to watch it.
Right.
Over and over again, the way, like, Terminator does, the way Aliens does. They don't have that long-lasting cultural appeal.
Mm-hmm.
But I think what's been interesting with James Cameron is he's never been in a position where he's took flack, ever. I don't think, for his movies. And he's been getting a lot of negativity in the run-up to Avatar 2, for why are we getting this, blah, blah, the same things, in it.
Yeah.
Why are we getting this 14 years later? We don't want to see the blue men swimming and all that. He's been getting that, and it's the first time we've seen a different side of him. Actually, almost quite an arrogant side, I think. Like, he's came out and said things like, "No, I'll go back and watch Avatar. You'll remember how amazing a movie it was," and stuff like that. I think that's a bit up your own arse to come out and say that kind of stuff. But and like, he's just made, I can't think of them off the top of my head, but he's made quite a few tweets that have been quite arrogant. Kind of like, just wait till you see Avatar 2, then you'll know. Kind of thing, as opposed to, oh, I hope you like it. Maybe I'll prove you wrong. It's more been a kind of like, remember who I am. This film's going to be amazing, kind of thing.
That's not a knife.
It's made $500 million in 2 days.
Well,
that film. That film that no one wants to see. No one wants to see a sequel. No one's asked about it. $500 million in 2 days, man. That is ridiculous for a film that apparently not many people were asked about.
But then, how much of that, as well as maybe people curious to see whether or not it's shit?
It's what, like,
there's this. It's a cultural talking point as to, is this going to be the first?
Yeah, but I think already that's people going back already. That's people seeing that like 2 or 3 times opening weekend. But to hit that sort of money, I don't know. I think it'll have legs. I think going into January it'll have legs. I think word of mouth will get around for it.
There's nothing else out at the moment, so it's.
You're right.
Hold on.
Jesus
What's this?
Christ.
This is a question.
You are washing the dishes when an alien walks into your kitchen. He tells you he will destroy the world if you don't tell him what is the best movie ever made. What's your answer and why?
Well, I'm going to say Shawshank Redemption. I don't remotely agree with that, but everyone else thinks so I'll just say that and shut them up.
I'm just still laughing at the ridiculous scenario.
Yeah.
Well, if it's an alien, I'm going to say Aliens. Like,
it depends if it's a xenomorph or not. You're not going to.
I loved you in Aliens.
Other one. Got the Blade Runner for me. probably that's my under the gun answer.
I
But
haven't
anyway,
got a favourite film of all time, weirdly.
Mine's Batman '89, but that's just like it's a bit of a nostalgia thing for me.
yeah, everyone's got their kind of go-to film, isn't it? That like I would agree as well that even Blade Runner, like I can chop and change that, but it's the one that I think it's the most suitable answer kind of thing for my taste. But
I mean, my
It's not
favourite film, one of my favourite
movie.
films of all time is Terminator 2, which is the film I've watched the most in my life.
yeah,
But it's probably not the best movie ever made. It's certainly up there, I think. But
Sorry, John, what were you saying, dude?
Well,
You were
I
gonna
was
say
just saying that it's not my favourite movie of all time. It has been my favourite movie of all time in the past, but I think it is probably the best movie ever made. I would say Jaws. It's just perfection, really. You know, whatever way you sort of cut it up, it's just great from start to end. So it's not my favourite one, but it's I could say for me. I think it's the best movie ever made.
Fair.
yeah,
I'm kind of with Paul there, because I alternate between three films. Whenever someone asks me my favorite film, I usually say Great Escape. But at the same time, the Star Wars trilogy is one film in my opinion, and that's my favorite too. But then Terminator 2 comes along, and I'm like, no, it has to be that as well. Those three films I constantly alternate between them. Terminator 2 is just astonishing, just like Great Escape and Star Wars to me. So yeah, it's amazing.
Bradley's saying, I don't know who's who here. I am already subbed to Electric and Mondo. Cheers, mate. Appreciate that. We'll subscribe to the links you listed. Awesome, mate. Thanks very much. And thanks for your questions. They're quite interesting, especially the alien in the kitchen one. Was it a bizarre analogy? But it was fun.
Subscribe to Badger Phipps. Subscribe to Badger
All in
Phipps.
Bradley, they're all in the description, mate. Yeah, you'll find the links in there that will take you straight through to the guys' channels. But
sorry, Tourette's. It was Tourette's. Sorry.
Right, mate. Yeah, so it's 11:30, guys. We've been going for a good 3.5 hours. I appreciate it's a Sunday night, so I'm probably going to kind of wrap up here. Thanks
Can I
very much.
just mention one more thing
Yeah,
before
of
we
course,
wrap
mate,
up? Because I'll pinch myself if I don't mention it.
Yeah.
Andor this year, mate, has been
Right.
absolutely phenomenal. It was the thing I was least expecting to enjoy, and I think I've enjoyed the most out of everything I've watched this year, like across the mediums. I thought it was absolutely exceptional. And is season 2 already marked for next year, Paul?
Next year, yeah.
Yeah, man.
End of next year.
Andor was awesome, mate. Yeah, I suppose it's
Unbelievable.
do
Not
a quick
enough
TV
people
one then.
watched it.
Do a quick TV, kind of like recommendations, ones to avoid then. But yeah, and I thought Andor was really like a total sleeper.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not a sleeper hit because it's a massive franchise, Star Wars. But I think it's a Star Wars show that we didn't know we needed, didn't know we wanted. Certainly for me, anyway. I think it's the first one that's kind of tried to cater more of an adult audience.
Yeah,
it's tried to kind of live on its own, away from lightsabers and the Force and all that, and all the kind of loved characters, and it was all the better for it.
And the music was awesome in it. Unbelievable.
I'm looking forward to trying to binge it all in one go, see how it plays. I hated waiting week to week for it.
Yeah. It worked really well with season 2. Then watching Rogue One after it, it'll just be like,
See, I kind of like the episodic thing. Maybe it's just. I mean, I've got two young kids. And
No, I mean, I was like, I just wanted to see it. I was like, oh my god, it's Wednesday, it's Andor day.
I think sometimes it can help build like the anticipation and enjoyment of the show. Going back to like that, because you can't have it right away, so you're like, okay, I'm going to look forward to that, and there's the build up, and then you get the next episode, you're like, oh, this is really good. Another week of waiting, another week of talking with your mates about it, what do you think's going to happen, blah blah blah. As opposed to like all gets done at once, and then it's like, have you seen Andor yet? Nah, I mean, I've not even watched it yet. Paul's like, oh, I've smashed 5 episodes. But we can't talk about it then because it's like, you know what I mean? Whereas if everyone's in the same, progresses roughly at the same time, that allows for that a bit more of a social kind of interaction around it all. I think so. And when you've got kids hanging off you 24/7.
It's weird. Andor was one of them shows, and I was speaking to Star Wars fans like, I'm not liking it. And even though they were telling me they don't like it, I was like, I can get why you don't like it. But for some reason, it just worked for me. Like,
Yeah.
I've grew up reading like Star Wars novels where they've gone a bit more adult and into sort of like espionage and stuff, and it felt like that just on TV. It was like what I've been waiting for to see from Star Wars. But people have said to me it's not working for me, and I'm like, that's fair enough. I can understand why it's not working for you. I'm not going to argue the case, but for me, I loved it.
I think when you like I enjoyed the Obi-Wan series, and I've enjoyed Mandalorian's good because it kind of gets away from the established characters, and we get to see the Star Wars universe through the eyes of a kind of unique character.
Yeah.
I think that's what was so good about Andor. Like the movies themselves create this amazing universe, which is kind of viewed upon through blinkers because you're only experiencing it through the central characters, and you're just taking like it for granted what's going on and what the kind of you're trying to imagine what the feeling is for actual normal punters as such. Like, you know, if I was in the Star Wars universe, how would this affect me as a civilian?
Yeah.
Whereas Andor kind of delivers on that big time. You know, you get the feeling of what it's like to be a civilian and how this affected like loads of people on the different planets, and which then gives gravitas and stake to when you go back and watch Skywalker saga and all that. Then you understand what the guys were fighting for. You know, they were the captains, the front men of the whole thing, and Andor nicely fleshes out the stakes of that. So I think Andor's one of the best things that's came from the kind of Disney collaboration.
It was a depiction of the Empire, like that really got me like on board with the show. I think the depiction of the Empire is brilliant. I can't remember what the woman's called, who's like the main sort of like
Trina.
Unbelievable. She's unreal in the show. Brilliant. Like, I just think the writing on this show is like just next level compared to what we sort of had, and especially coming from Obi-Wan, that I was really excited for, because obviously the prequels are my Star Wars. It isn't the OG trilogy. It's like the thing that I more like, you know, like was my thing was them prequels, like especially, and I think Obi-Wan, I think I hyped myself up a bit too much for it, and it just
I think I did the same.
It didn't deliver on a couple of aspects.
Mm-hmm.
But then Andor came along and it was like, oh my God, what is this show? Love it. Amazing.
I'd be interested to
monologue.
I'd be interested to know if it's standing alone on its own without, you know, if a newbie could come in and just watch that and know exactly what's going on. I'd be curious to know if it works on its own or not.
Yeah.
I think it will, because it barely mentions any of the kind of established legacy characters. Like, it doesn't talk about this guy. I can remember anyway. But yeah, on the TV front, I'll kind of continue this little round robin of the TV stuff. A bit different, I suppose. I'll give you one I recommended, one that you should avoid. One of the best TV shows I've seen in years and years and years, really unique, really original, was is it Severance on Apple Plus?
Right. Yeah.
I cannot speak highly enough about that. Absolutely fantastic. One of the first shows in a while where I've been like just binged it, wanted to know exactly what was happening. Really unique concept. Good acting, ends on an absolute belter of a cliffhanger, and I know they are making. I think the next season is coming out early next year. But the concept basically is that in the near future, they've developed a company, a shady, mysterious company, have developed a way to sever your working brain from your kind of like personal life and such. So when you rock up to work, you become your other self within your own body, if that makes sense. And when you're at work, you've got absolutely no idea what you did the night before, or right up until you walked into work. And then you work till 5 o'clock. You leave the building at 5 o'clock, and then nighttime you has no idea what you did at your work. So you're like, basically the idea is that you don't have to work, but you have no knowledge of yourself working. So it feels like you don't work, kind of thing. But what not, and then also there's people on the periphery that are kind of like campaigning against it because they think, well, it's morally wrong because effectively you're creating a slave of yourself, which only gets to work. Whereas the other ones get the benefit of not having to put up with that. But if you like bumped your knee, say, and got a bruise at work, you'll still have that when you leave. You'll have absolutely no idea how you actually got it. So, but it's really, I'm maybe not selling it enough, but it really is.
Mate, sold that. I need to watch. I've heard so many people explain it. Like, I need to watch this show.
Yeah,
it sounds fantastic.
Christopher Walken, John Turturro.
No way.
John Turturro's in it. A really kind of unique cast. Beautifully filmed, beautifully framed. A lot of themes of duality going on in it, and I feel they get that across, like deliberately using symmetrical like objects, shots in the film to kind of have that undertone all the time. That there's two sides to this. But ultimately, what happens is naturally the slaved versions that they've created start to get inquisitive as to what their lives are like on the outside, and they basically start scheming amongst themselves to break out because they want to know what they actually do in the real world, kind of thing. And then it becomes this. The whole idea is like the outside person who signed up to originally is trying to work out what's happening because the company's kind of shady and they don't know what. They start to get curious about what they're actually doing when they're at work, and vice versa. And it's just really interesting. There's a lot of twists and turns, but Severance is definitely one of the best things I've seen on TV in a long time. I would check it out. And then just quickly, 1899 on Netflix, I thought was a massive disappointment.
Massive disappointment.
Yeah, I just didn't.
Was that with the same people who done Dark on Netflix?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just starts off interestingly and just takes you down rabbit hole after rabbit hole after rabbit hole to the point where you're just desperate to know what happens, but not in a good way. You're just fed up watching it. Boring, bleak, and does have a belter of a twist at the end. But by that point, I was just exhausted. I was like, right, I'm glad I know what happened now, but I'm not interested in going any further with this. Like, best of luck to anyone who wants to stay with it, but I just didn't think 1899 worked. But it was something I was really looking forward to, but can't recommend it, sadly. Anyone else got any TV shows or Severance? Richard Ross, Severance finale was a masterpiece. I agree, mate. The finale to Severance, that was amazing, so can't recommend it highly enough. Anyone else get any TV shows on that before we...
I'll give the boys a quick shout out this year. That was an amazing season of TV. I preferred it to the last season, but I'm looking forward to seeing where that goes, man.
Is there any big names attached to the season 4? New cast members?
Not that I'm aware of.
They're doing the spin-off first, aren't they? That Gen X,
Yeah.
which is set in like a school, like sort of X-Men parody, if you like. Like teenagers in a school, so they're doing like a boys spin-off.
Sorry, lads. Not trying to interrupt you. Sorry, but I have to fucking bow right now. I'm really sorry about that.
Sorry. We're just finishing anyway, Badger. So
okay, yeah, no worries.
Thanks for joining us, mate. And again, if anyone that's watching and catching on the replay, remember to check out Badger's channel and you'll find the links for him in the description. But cheers, mate. It's been a blast having you. Thanks very much for.
Yeah, it has been really fun. Yeah, I appreciate it, and thanks for the invite. And it was very nice to meet you, John and Paul. I appreciate this. All right.
Thank you.
You too, mate.
No worries. Catch you, Badger. See you later, mate.
Take care, lads. I'll see you guys in a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, as I say, we'll just be kind of wrapping up there anyway, but I just thought as soon as you started the TV show thing, we would just go around everyone. Do you watch much TV, John?
Yeah, when I come to think of it, not that much, but Andor was something that we've put off. And we're going to watch it, and then we thought, what's the point? Because you kind of know where it's going, you know what it's going to go to, and who's in it, who are really bothered about it. But after hearing what you're saying, I'm going to check it out, because it's one of the ones that we thought, yeah, we'll check it out, but we'll never do it. But I will go and put it higher up on the list, because we're always looking for something to watch. We sort of just tend to like that Only Murders Left in the Building. We'll check that one out. I thought that was quite good.
Is that the Smart one?
Yeah.
That's the Smart one. Yeah.
It was much better than I thought it was going to be. I watched the 2 series of that. And we tend to go like back to things like Red Dwarf and things, Married Children, just old school stuff that we don't really check that much. We've got Netflix, we've got them all, but we hardly ever sort of delve into them.
So much now, isn't it? To try and get through.
I watched Dharma.
Brilliant. Dharma was excellent, John.
Yeah, it's just good from start to finish. That was one of the best things I've seen recently. The acting was just next level. So and the way it was made, so that we loved that film, that series. Perfect. Yeah,
I enjoyed what I've seen of Dharma. I only seen the first 2 episodes, but it was too heavy duty from my wife, which was bizarre because that's all she watches. All she watches is like true crime. I like, she probably watched the real story of it, but for some reason she just found the kind of like.
It's the same with my missus, Andy. Like, she watches all true crime all day, all night. Oh, do you want to watch Dharma? It's like really, really good. I've watched it. Oh, no, too heavy for me. That.
I thought it was just because it was it was so well done, well acted. Like, it was an amazing kind of reenactment of it.
Yeah,
But it just hit too hard. I suppose when you're watching a documentary, you've got the kind of that comfort factor of knowing that it's like it's a documentary. It's like there's a narrator talking over it. There's that level of like distance from it. Whereas in Dharma, you're in the room with the guy getting murdered, kind of thing. It's quite unflinching. It was disturbing. Like, see that first episode. That was a tough watch. And I remember I didn't really know much about the story. I hope this isn't spoiling for anyone. But in the first episode, when that guy eventually gets away, you genuinely you're so tense all the way through it. And when he finally kind of gets out, you're like,
yeah, totally.
I think because it's a real story, so you're watching it. I was watching it not knowing what happens to this dude, so I'm like watching it thinking, this is a reenactment, but this is a real person though. So is this guy going to die or not? Yeah. And when you find out, luckily for that guy, he gets away. It's like just this massive adrenaline dump. Like, oh, thank God I don't have to be stressed about this anymore. So I can get that why my wife wasn't so keen to kind of. She probably thought, do I want to put myself through another 8 or 9 episodes of that? I don't know if it's as bad as that all the way through, but
well, actually, I don't know if you think the same thing, Alice. About there's an episode where he, it was great, but this one that really got us was the fella that was deaf, the deaf guy.
Yes.
And that episode there when you just knew what was going to happen, and you thought, oh, don't, because he's having that kind of relationship with him, and it looks like he's not going to really do anything to him.
It's one of the only points in the whole series that there's sort of like this tiny bit of levity, and it's because he's having a genuine connection with this guy.
Yeah.
But then I think because he has a genuine connection with him, when you realize that something's going to go terribly wrong, it's even more impactful. But you're right, John. Yeah.
Because we were thinking to ourselves, knowing full well, and I'd said to Deborah, I says, I knew he was going to get, what was going to happen to him. And I thought, I really think it's awful to think that this bloke was such a nice fella, and that actually he got on with him, and he did what he did to him. And I thought he didn't need to do that to him, especially as they were getting on okay. So that was the toughest episode for me personally.
I've got to admit, like Evan Peters, is just sort of sealed the deal on his acting with that series as well. Like I haven't seen a lot of his he's in a lot of American
That's I've watched quite a bit of
haven't seen much of that, but I know he's like a prevalent sort of actor in that series, and that sort of makes me want to go back and watch some of that. But that was a phenomenal series of TV this year.
Definitely.
Yeah, a lot of good stuff covered there. Campfellow's just saying he started Yellowstone not long ago. Just Western stuff just doesn't really appeal to me that much, but it's obviously been really popular, Yellowstone. That's
one of my friends who lives in Canada has been telling me for months and months now, watch Yellowstone. And every now and again, he messaged me going, "Start Yellowstone." Yeah, I'm like, no, sorry.
You're just into what you're into, aren't you? Like, see that one that I recommended, Severance. See anything that's got a bit of a sci-fi premise, a bit of mystery to it. I'm just like a fly to shite with that. But see if it's like Western, it would need to be, like Avatar 2 levels of hype. It would need to be like people won't shut up about it, and I'll be like, all right, okay, I'll go and check this out, and then I'll probably enjoy it. But I'm not just going to I'm not going to get that excited straight away with a Western, or a horror kind of thing. But if it's action sci-fi, then I'm already halfway across the door. But everybody's got their vices, haven't they? So things that get them excited. Campfire. Been meaning to start 7 as well over Christmas. Yeah, I'm sure you'll enjoy it, mate, if you do decide to.
I think the only thing that stopped me watching that is I haven't got Apple Plus though.
I think it's you've got Sky though, Paul, eh?
Is it?
Have you got Sky?
Yeah, it's on Sky Atlantic or something.
No, it's Apple Plus, but Sky are doing they were doing like the VIP Christmas gift thing, and you can pick whatever you wanted. There was like a couple of Christmas films which were kind of pointless because a lot of them are on Netflix and stuff anyway.
Right, yeah.
But one of them was 6 months of Apple Plus.
Oh, I'll look into it then. Yeah, cool.
Maybe take that.
Yeah.
Apple's quite good because it stacks. Because I already had a deal with through my PlayStation 5, so it was like straight on into February or something. And then I activated the one on Sky, and I thought it would just kind of incorporate. You know, it would just go to June or whatever, but it didn't. It stacked on the end of it, so I've got like 9 months of it or something like that.
It's all right.
I'll look
It's
into
pretty
that.
good. There's Apple's bringing out a lot of good stuff. There's that Harrison Ford one that's coming out as well. Like it's kind of like, I don't know if they're trying to capitalise on the success of Yellowstone. It's another kind of like frontier kind of modern western kind of series that's starring Harrison Ford in January. Yeah, there's more and more kind of good stuff. I've heard that Slow Horses is amazing as well, with Gary Oldman, the MI5 kind of spy thriller one.
Yeah.
That's another one that I want to kind of check out on Apple Plus. But yeah, they're definitely kind of becoming. They were a bit slow to start with the content, I think. The Severance was the one that made me kind of start to pay attention to what they're producing. Yeah, anyone get any kind of closing thoughts before we kind of wrap this one up, or any kind of shout outs or anything before we?
I was going to mention House of Dragon, but we are rocking on nearly 4 hours. I'll talk about that for about half an hour. So I loved House of Dragon, by the way. I'll leave it at that.
House of Dragon was great. Yeah, no, it was.
Yeah,
Yeah, we could like say go on for hours talking about that.
Yeah.
It was really good. It was a bit. I wasn't expecting it to be as good as it was, to be honest. I thought it'd just be kind of poor man's Game of Thrones, but I felt it definitely carried on the quality of Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
for sure. But thanks very much, guys, for coming on. I appreciate it. It's been
Yeah, no worries, man.
a bit longer than I'd hoped, but I've enjoyed it. I tried to gauge it. Like, hopefully we're still enjoying being on the stream. But thanks very much for it all happening and being available on the day to all come on at the same time. Again, just if anyone that's watched to the end, remember the links are in the channel in the description for John, he's one of the Chill About Movies, Paul's self-titled Paul TAMBS, and of course Total Movie Recall, where you'll find Ellis doing his thing. But thanks very much, guys. If I don't see, I'll probably chat to you anyway, and I'll see you in the comments of your videos and stuff. But if I don't see you before Christmas, I hope you have a good Christmas and New Year.
Yeah, you guys, you too, man.
Yeah.
That goes to anyone watching as well, anyone that's stuck to the end, or anyone that's catching the replay. I might have another video out before Christmas, but if I don't, have a good Christmas and a good New Year. Anyone else getting in to sign out?
No, that was perfect.
Yeah,
beautiful.
Just the same thing that you saw. Hope everyone has a good time and has a good Christmas period.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I've been Andy, Alex Geek. John, he's been John from one of the Chill Out Movies. Paul Sam, and of course Ellis at Total Movie Recall. Okay, guys. Thanks. It's been a blast. And I'll catch you soon, hopefully on another one. You're all welcome back.
Yeah.
Cheers, man. Take it easy.
No worries. See you later, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.